Good evening, everybody, and thanks for joining us. We're back for a wee bit delayed, for a wee bit a GF Friday on a Friday night. We're at the 31st of January. Normally the transfer deadline day, but this year in Europe the transfer deadline is now the 2nd of Feb, so not quite there, but we'll see that pan out over the weekend. I am Quinny, of course, for the millionth time it feels like in the last 2 weeks or so, and I'm joined as ever by McBride Ace. McBride, good to see you, mate. Hail.
Hello, I could
Hail.
just say I was on time. It was not my fault.
Yeah.
Good evening, everybody. Busy week, loads of stuff happening, loads to discuss, I'm sure.
Yeah, there's been tons going on. I was saying to you before we came on, I don't even know where to start, but I felt probably the most appropriate place just to get comfy and get everyone settled in. There's tons of fist bumps on arrival, plenty of you guys dropping the like button on arrival as well, getting settled in and comfy on a Friday night after a long week where we've had 4 different game weeks take place, now including this one that we're in. So it's been a long, arduous week, but I thought the best place to get comfy with, McBride, in case anyone missed it, me, let's have a wee look at the Champions League draw. So I think we all knew about Celtic Bayern Munich. That was the one everywhere, of course. But some really interesting draws here, and this new tournament, it takes on a new kind of dimension now at this stage, because obviously 8 teams are already through to the last 16 or whatever it is, and then it's just about getting the 8 teams that they will face from this batch of merry men, as it were.
That's your live reaction, Quinny. You've not seen it yet.
A little bit, yeah, I suppose. Yeah, it's the black and white, the blue and black derby here between Atalanta and Bruges. Wee bit of red action here. Monaco, Benfica, a bit more red as well with Feyenoord, Milan. And where's Real Madrid and such? They're there. Real Madrid are playing Man City again. Again. Brest versus PSG is a bit of a letdown for European football, it feels like, with it being a Ligue 1 affair. Juve PSV, it's kind of fun, but I actually don't know how that will go. Actually, PSV will probably be quite chuffed with that draw. And Sporting Lisbon, Dortmund, again, a bit of a weird draw, a bit of a weird game to forecast. But yeah, it's anyone's game, really, isn't it? Except for Celtic.
I was talking about people going abroad and booking in for that. I was like, I'm going to book in for behind my couch so that I can watch it from there, to be honest. I mean, obviously, Bayern or Real Madrid, they were always going to be tough ones. Personally, I wanted Bayern. It was nothing to do with like anything else apart from Celtic have played Real Madrid a few times recently, and I just thought it'd be good to see somebody different or whatever, you know. Really good team, sometimes a wee bit hit or miss as well. I guess Real Madrid have not always been firing this season, but you feel as if Real Madrid have really sort of hit their stride now. But some really good games there, and I think the format, I mean, I've loved the format. Celtic are through, so maybe I'm a wee bit biased, but I think there's been a real feeling that like when there's games on, you've had some sort of interest in the other games. So like a lot of times with Champions League, there's other like leagues or whatever, and maybe somebody gets a good start and they've won 3 games or whatever, and then it's nothing to play for, and some groups are not interested. Whereas this feels as if you've always got a kind of some sort of vested interest in all the games that are going on across Europe. I've been really interested in seeing what the results were and all that sort of stuff. So I missed most of it in Wednesday night because I was actually down in Birmingham, so I was standing in a fan zone amongst all the Celtic fans, so that was absolutely wild. So I probably missed a lot of the fun from a Sorare perspective, but yeah, really fun overall format, definitely.
Yeah, and this is the other 8 teams that have qualified as well, getting over the line in the end of Aston Villa, then all the ones above them. But yeah, it's Wednesday night, obviously a bit of a different perspective for you, but we were all involved, of course, in the first one-day game week, you know, the shared kind of Champions League pot. We knew all the teams. We had a late deadline for it. It was a lot of fun. It was quite intense, but for 45 minutes, you know, from when all the team sheets came out to deadline, it was a very different experience for all of us that were getting properly tapped into it. For you and a fan zone, McBride, how was that, being on the go and having all that to do, or did you kind of sit and just deal with it later?
I was drunk, so like I got my phone out, it was pretty cold, and I looked at the lineups, I just went, fuck that, and just put my phone back in my pocket and my battery. So like actually probably the only guy in the site that actually ended up having DNPs, because I was just didn't bother. I was just like, I mean, the like my Celtic ones and stuff weren't too bad. There was no major shocks with Real Madrid. I think there was a couple I might still been able to adjust unlimited and stuff, but it was it was so cold as well. It was like it was outside and it was proper freezing, and I was just like, nah, I'm not bothering. I'm just here for the Champions League night. But I mean, it's interesting. Well, you probably won't want to talk specifically about rolling locks just now, but it's a kind of interesting real life thing because we've been at the state like Celtic Park a lot, which that's really unfortunate to go, but you get a horrendous signal in there, so if you're fortunate enough to go to the game, you're there earlier, whatever, you're maybe not necessarily there at that time where you can just start messing about with your lineups and stuff. I was on the cocktails at 3 o'clock. So, I had a good day. It was brilliant, really good. Birmingham was nice actually, and they're quite a nice bit, and enjoyed the trip. But I just didn't really bother, and obviously I didn't really have access to getting all the results and everything either because it was just like big screen Celtic game, Celtic fans, that kind of specific atmosphere. So it was weird coming out later and kind of turning on the phone and going, "No, this has happened or that's happened or whatever." And what do you think about the sort of shared pot scenario, Quinny, rather than the normal sort of leaderboard?
So I overall enjoyed it, I would say. In terms of like from the common perspective, I thought it was a great game mode. In terms of a bit, I thought. Did you see the unique leaderboard?
No, I couldn't see the big screen at like 8:30. So I was like, no, I didn't.
I think there was like I'm going to spitball here, right? I think there was like 30 entrants or 30 teams, maybe 15. Right, it was 30 or 15, I forget. Right, how many people do you think hit the threshold at unique?
It's a weird one because I think results went quite about 5 or 6 or something.
5 or 6, okay. Let me go and get it up just in case there's any corrections here. 5 or 6, you're saying? Let me go and get it.
Maybe more than that. I don't know. I'm not.
Well, I know what it is, and if it's not changed since I checked it, Champions Night, isn't it, in season?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the target was 560 points. There was 18 entrants. I'll give you a second chance at it.
18 entrants.
18 entrants, teams, lineups.
Unique, probably only about 3 or 4 or something. It wouldn't be that high, I don't think, then. Unique.
2 entries hit it.
2 entries.
$5,000 pot, I think it was.
2,500 each.
Can you name both the entries?
What do you mean in terms of who it was, or?
Aye.
Nanzo?
Nope.
No. Try to think of When Moon.
When Moon was second in the table, but he did not hit the target.
Aye.
558 points, 2 off it.
Jeez. I'm trying to think who else was there, because obviously Mark sold all his guys to DFS, but then Liverpool rotated. So I'm trying to think like who smashed, who's got like uniques and stuff like that.
Pranksy, yep.
Yeah.
And that's it. Both of his lineups.
Both Pranksy. Yeah, well, I mean, right. I can see what Sorare were trying to do, right? So you had this whole dynamic where you've got the late sort of deadline, and I think what they were trying to do was, firstly, if it's divided between everybody, if there's more of a rough game week, then you get a bit of a bonanza there, so that's good. I think they were also trying to give a bit of value to some of the guys who come in on rotation. So, for example, normally you would look at Liverpool guys there and say, right, this is a tough game against PSV now because Liverpool have left Alisson, Trent, and Salah and everything at home. So by trying to create a threshold, maybe they were trying to bring those people into play, because you're thinking, well, I might bring in a young guy who's just starting. He might only do 40 or 50. Okay, he's not going to get me to the 500 points, but I might be able to beat the 400 or the whatever it is, and then get the threshold. So I can kind of see what they were trying to do. It's a bit like, like my father-in-law does the place pots at the horses, right? And what happens with that is but then he picks all the favourites. Now, you're never going to win that much by picking all the favourites. Because when all the favourites win, then the place pot pays out like £5 and you've put on £1 and you need to get the top 3 for every race. Usually you want the outsiders to win, but then you've got to pick the outsiders. So it's kind of like a bit like that format. The overall scores look as if they were quite high, but I think that there was 2 reasons for that. Obviously, people were able to confirm the lineups and get 5 out of 5, but also all the big, all the big guys all smashed. Courtois got a clean sheet. Bart's had a good home game. Bayern were predicted to smash. They smashed. Real Madrid, although they conceded, scored 4 goals. So I don't think it's actually just down to the overall format. I think there was a mixture of quite good games for big teams and also predictability. And the guy gets 600. Well, you win the signed shirt as well, right? So that's worth something. But I mean, my main thing with it is that I think that if you're going to do something like that, you've still got to maybe have a threshold, but then pay out a fixed number of places to a podium or a top 5 or something like that. Just say this is a prize pool and you'll get your threshold plus. I think they kind of tried to do that in a way, giving out signed shirts, but just make that I guess a cash payout, because you'd be sick to get 600 and win 40 quid. I mean, that would actually really annoy me, to be honest, for that to happen. But everybody knew before they entered what they were playing. So
that's it. I had a huge score in my rare team, and it's just the place pot. There's nothing else on the go, and it was such a far down position in the table I had. The funniest thing about this team, from no salad, no party, tip my cap to you, by the way, mad respect for this. Courtois in goals, 110 points. Hakimi, 99.4. Captain Bellingham, 160.9. Rodrigo goes 123.5. And the 5th man, Lucas Vazquez, 107.3. Outscoring the team behind him, Yamal, Rafinha, Grimaldo, everything, man. This guy nailed it absolutely front to back, and it was Lucas Vazquez that was the differential that made the difference in the end, ahead of all the Ousmane Dembele's and everything else that was in here, Joshua Kimmich's, Elise. None of them got anywhere near wee Lucas Vazquez for Real Madrid.
Well, funnily enough, Quinny, I've picked Alaba for the weekend, so I picked David Alaba just as I was a wee bit worried that Rudiger might get rotated, and I don't really trust Real Madrid at left back, because I've been and Vasquez is a forward, so you're right, well, that's my kind of La Liga outfit, right? It's Real Madrid and that, so I picked that David Alaba, so maybe I'll be on top of one of those leaderboards. But actually, I just feel as if I'm jinxed with Real Madrid. Honestly, the game week where I picked Captain Bellingham, Rodrigo and Mbappe hit hundreds, and then the next game week I captained Rodrigo, and Bellingham and Mbappe both outscored Rodrigo, and I got they won 4-0 or something, and I came 12. So just don't really seem to get any proper luck with them. But maybe this weekend is the weekend, and then Barcelona will win 9-0 against Alaves.
Aye, that could be the way it goes. I hope it is, certainly. I think a lot of people perhaps the appeal to this at Rare, maybe not limited as much, right? But certainly for Rare, is that not that many people actually get over the line. If Real Madrid conceded, that changes the complexion of this quite a lot, and so on and so forth. All the big hitters came in, as you mentioned, right at the top of this, and it was just one of those ones where everyone came in. So there's just nothing you can do about that. You just got to shrug your shoulders. But it would have been interesting. I've not actually looked at the Europa League one, how that panned out for numbers and whatnot, because that ran last night. Let's look at the unique in season. Only one person hit it, and it was Bambi.
Yeah, so I said Charlie said I think people misjudged this comp. The old threshold was never people's priority. People putting in Real Madrid stacks have themselves to blame. Where were you going?
There wasn't really much else, but yeah.
Well, you can't play a Real Madrid stack in the specialist because you're only allowed 2 from Real Madrid. So where are you going to play them? So I don't mind at all. So they're trying something different. I think that overall that's a good thing. They've launched a fun competition. They gave out a bit more money than normal they still run a specialist. So I'm not complaining about it at all, but obviously they'll analyse that and they'll see how that's all sort of shook out. It's quite a small sample size as well. You can't just run one competition and say, let's just ditch it, because it's a variance-wise a really small sample size and fixture specific as well. You know, I could have told you Bayern were going to score multiple goals against Slovan. Everybody scored multiple goals against Slovan. Like, just, you know, it was predictable stuff. So it's just one of those things. Even Bayer Leverkusen had a really good home fixture as well. You know, a lot of big SO5 guys like Grimaldo, Verts, not Lucas Hradecki, because that guy is an absolute diddy, and I'm glad to have sold him. But like, I'm glad to see a wee bit of innovation. That's the point I'm trying to make. Okay, I didn't think it was really that good, but I had it twice in rare. I got my cash for that, and we move on, nice. And that's it. You know, so it wasn't too bad. The one time I wasn't too bothered about captain and Mbappe and him having a million big chances missed. So,
aye. This is the Europa League one, and I think the super rare target was 480. I think in this Champions League one, there's like 30 people that hit it or something. I forget the number now, but in the Europa League, only 8 hit it. Brees bagging 2 places for himself, so that's quite fun.
Yeah.
Rare would probably be a lot more substantial. Yeah, some big scores. 530, the top pick. Garnacho, Bergval, Lisandro Martinez, Pedro Porro, and Brandon Austin. Would you believe it?
I thought it was quite a good. Well, Tottenham on XG and clean sheet percentage were the best fixture. So like, that's, once you know Brandon Austin started, he's actually a good selection there.
Only 75 rares hit it this time.
I mean, it was kind of fun having like the different game weeks as well. What I did notice was like they run like the under 23s all alongside it, and that was quite soft because you had really like limited amounts of games. So like, I managed to get my D2 super early under 23 team up with like no goalkeeper, just because there weren't really many sort of options. So it was like a 4-man team and get 2 decisives. They still got promoted, so that was like an interesting dynamic. But I mean, we'll see. I mean, it's the first time that Sorare have done anything like that, and I think that with the late sort of lock thing as well, it was good to do it for something like that. But I don't know if it's something I would really like on an overall permanent basis, if you know what I mean. Maybe it was harder for me because I was going up and down and everything to Birmingham as well. But I arrived back and I'm like, so there's another game week now. It's like, you know, it's like, it felt as if it was just totally full on type thing, which is sometimes good for people as well. But, you know, having the 2 game weeks a week's quite a nice sort of balance, I think. So,
yeah, that was a little bit different in that sense as well. Yeah, so it was like full on for kind of just each of them at the moment, in a way. And like you say, as soon as you know who's playing, it really does open up some options for you. It made it like I played Ori Oscarsson, get 2 goals finally. Been waiting all season to use that card, so didn't actually amount to anything, sadly. Just missed the target myself. But yeah, it does open up possibilities and stuff like that. But you're right, it doesn't feel like something that could be a constant, like the mixed pot and the kind of late deadline thing en masse. Probably because like Sorare don't control real world football and can't just have every Premier League game kick off at the same time on a Saturday afternoon or whatever, you know. So there's always going to be that anyway, even if you do have lock on first match or whatever, or, you know, there's plenty of stuff we can, I think we've kind of went over that a few times over, but after the last couple of nights, of course, it adds a lot of nice context and some experience for folk to kind of add into the mixture. But I think it'll really, like you said that in there as well, like, I'm always happy for them to try new stuff and try and like make it a bit more exciting or a bit more interesting. And like, I kind of thought when we seen this, and now certainly going through it, definitely feels like a test mode of some kind, you know, like maybe similar to what we might get in MLS perhaps.
Well, actually, funnily you said that, after the way I looked at it was like, is this a way of like having some sort of threshold, but having it as like a controllable threshold? Because the problem with old thresholds was that unlimited amounts of teams could have hit it, you know, so you can't plan for how much money you're going to actually pay out on that threshold. Whereas if you have a threshold and you say we're going to divide that pot between everyone who hits the threshold, then you can actually give out an amount of money and you can fix it, similar to what's happened with Essence as well, because obviously they kind of gave out too much Essence and too many cards and everything early on in the season. And you see now in the new mode, it's like you come in this position, we're going to give you 4, come in this position, we're going to give you 5. So it's like, we're just going to tell you how much Essence you're getting, but that allows them to do the numbers on it and say, it's not a random 200 that's come out of box or whatever. It's like that plus that plus that, and we can measure that. So I think that they're just sort of doing a lot of numbers work on that, and the MLS one will be pretty interesting. I think having an MLS comp's brought a lot of hype and everything for that specific league, and they're spending quite a lot of money on players. Guys who like that Laugh guy. I mean, I don't know that much about him, but I know that some English Premier League teams were trying to sign him. So imagine for Atalanta to get him must be a reasonable signing. Miguel Almiron's getting back. Signing guys like Zaha, Jonathan Bamba. I mean, it's like loads of kind of pretty decent signings, So there'll be a lot of hype around that, and I think they're kind of in their head. They're like, can we find a way to try and just bump up the card values a wee bit again? Because at the end of the day, that as long as it's done the right way, should bring a bit more profit to the site and have the knock-on consequences maybe for the elephant in the room we always discuss, like Classic, because I said at the start of last season, one of the main issues was that card prices didn't really hit the heights that maybe some people expected them to, particularly the champ ones and things. So, it didn't bump up the prize pools for Classics as much as well. So it's that whole ecosystem thing, isn't it?
Yeah. I think the MLS one it'll be interesting to see how it shakes out. I think I was just kind of keeping up with the chat there as well, McBride, sorry.
Yeah.
As well as I was saying to you before we came on, it feels like I've had a long week. I've got that feeling right now after a big workout or something like that, a big run or something like that. I've just got that sitting down feeling like, oh, that was brilliant, but I'm done in. But yeah, some great interactions in the chat as well, and asking about in seasons and the MLS kind of thing as well. Good to see it, guys. Keep it coming. I do think I thought initially the MLS one would maybe be a bit of a test for the next European season, and maybe that's still the thing. But certainly after this kind of mixed prize pot thing, like you say, it's a better way for them to do a threshold because it's controllable. It's not an infinite amount of entries, infinite amount of winners essentially, and then who knows what your payout is on any given game week, really. So it's definitely something business model wise you could see it being adopted a bit easier perhaps. But with the addition of rare cards getting an extra 10% each, somebody mentioned it in the chat earlier. Maybe that's part of the reason some of the scores look a little bit more impressive as well, because there's just an extra 50% going around the cards, But they are probably, and as much as they can model it out, they kind of need to see how many rare teams can get into 440. Is that super hard now that we've done this, or is it? Because remember when we even got threshold in the first instance, it altered and adjusted quite often in the first 6 months. I would say, it's big and low, it's big only, it's targets, it's they kind of tweaked it often enough, didn't they? Because they were trying to figure out a code for it. So they've also got a wee bit they've got some notes to refer to is probably the better way of putting it. And yeah, with this stuff that we're doing now, it feels like it's maybe guinea pigging.
I think so. I mean, it's quite sort of telling that they've said, right, you can have these thresholds over the summer, but you'll need 5 in-season cards. So it's okay, you can use your classic goalkeeper, but we're not going to give you a threshold unless you buy an MLS goalkeeper. I don't mind it. I know that people don't, if they want to keep getting value out of the cards, they don't like it. But for me, as long as they move it more towards in-season, but then there's some sort of overrun at Classic, then I think that's okay. I mean, if the in-season cards go up in value, then that's an overrun to Classic. And then also, if it generates more money, if they can put a small proportion of that money back to Classic, then that's another overrun to Classic. I called it a parachute payment, right? So it's what happens after, even through your in-season type thing. So yeah, I mean, and so Josh said, could you have implemented a 5 in-season rule on the old threshold. I mean, you could, but the problem, because this is another sort of interesting thing I was looking at this week. Somebody put up their results, and it's like this much of 1 per month in card value, and I kind of flicked back through mine. So even like last season, like the cards 1 value for last season, mine was exceeding the cash. And this season, naturally, the cash has exceeded the actual card value, and it just kind of like emphasised that thing of a lot of the value has been moved into the end season, and you can see that from the actual purchase price or sale prices of classic cards. When you look at guys in rare and you think, yeah, still pretty good player, blah blah, and they're selling for like 15 quid and stuff, and you're going, bloody hell, it like looks like good value. And so, okay, it might be actually good value if you get a bit of patience over time, but it's just quite a stark fall in terms of the actual what you see on the screen card value side of things. So it's really all focused on in season, but it's the first year of the new model, and I think they've kind of, when the model was launched, there was a bit of deviation of what the model was supposed to be. It was supposed to be in season you win the cash, and you can only win those cards from the older season cards, but then started throwing in essence for in season and all sorts of other stuff like credits and everything. But the main thing was it was supposed to be that you could only earn the essence or craft cards or whatever from classic, and then they just threw like absolutely everything at it. Whereas now it's almost a bit like, you can't win double rewards, you can't win cash and win essence and stuff. So it's a wee bit of a pullback. So sort of learning about the model. But yeah, I mean, when somebody moves to MLS, I just buy them now. So just bought some Pasaliches earlier, and like I still feel engaged by it, right? So that's what it is.
Yeah.
How do you feel about it?
Overall, like I'm quite. I mean, like you say, in terms of card prices and that, I've been like I'm off to the light for some players recently. I've actually so earlier this month, multiplexed the Penfiz's joint. Well, you never thought you'd hear the computer tell you in your ears, eh? Multiplex the Penfiz. Good to see you.
What's up, guys?
Hello.
How we doing?
I'm impressed.
Multiplexing, mate. We're multiplexing.
Yeah.
How did you get on with it yourself? Did you bag any?
I did on the Champions League days, but last night I decided to try and do big brain plays and put my best 2 teams in the classic comp, because I thought winning a star would be better than winning a portion of cash. I would have won the cash. I didn't win the star, so yeah, a bit of a nightmare, really.
Gutted. I was close, but no cigar on the Europa League as well. I was like, like on the Champions League one on the common mode, I got opted into the points, and I was like, so when the Europa League full times came in, I was 9 points off it, and I was like, I hope I wake up tomorrow and Opta to Fairy has been whatever, and fix my scores for me. But I woke up and I went back 20 points, so I was nowhere near it at all. But it was good fun. Me and my bride were just kind of chewing the fat over it in terms of how it shook out. And we were looking at some of the winners and whatnot, and how many people kind of won it across both nights. Super rare and unique. You won't be surprised to hear very few winners, but rare. Last night, actually, only I think like 30 people won it or something, or 70. I forget. No, wasn't that many.
That's all right, isn't it?
Yeah, this was last night. It's 480 or no, 440. Sorry, for rare, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, 440, 75.
It's not bad, is it? And you had 2 entries as well. You could have picked up 100 euros there, couldn't you?
Yeah, not too shabby at all.
It's good tournaments. Like if that's what they use for the MLS stuff, if there's like a standard prize pool each week where if you hit a target, you get a share of it, I would quite enjoy that as a beat the game kind of a situation. Oh, look at that guy first and another team in there.
Yeah.
Well, no wonder he won. He had like 12 players.
Yeah, it's a bit unfair, that, isn't it?
That's not
only
fair.
Only 8 of them at Super Rare picked something up, but he got 2 of them.
How much did they get for Super Rare? What was the prize pool?
I'm going to guess $5,000.
He probably won like $1,000 or something there. So
yeah, that's all right, isn't it?
Yeah, not bad at all.
Because I think like everything was a wee bit muted on what the Champions League numbers were. So I think there were like 8s and stuff like that, weren't they? And 10s and 20s and stuff. So it was just a wee bit muted down from last night. And the unique one in the Champions League, Pranksy won it twice, and he was the only person to bag it. She had 2 teams.
Right?
Yeah, so the chat was melting on it, saying like he could have only entered one team. He could have used his other cards elsewhere because like, he's just split the pot with himself, you know. And then for the Europa League one, it was only Bambi that picked it up.
Yeah, do you know what I think this really kind of like emphasizes as well? Quinny, remember like I was talking about Super Rare, and like when you close down one of those classic slots, like how many teams are going to be competitive or can enter or whatever. Like I think people are missing a lot of the actual value in Super Rares now because like
what's up, babe?
Like in season wise, you know, you're playing against less people and they're playing the you know, when the first weekend comes around, like all right, it's a big in season competition, but they're paying out like top 30 places. So you know, it's kind of a bit of both. Like you've got a long tail and you've got some good prizes and stuff. So I think by the point it comes next season, people will start to see that value again. And people don't want to move up to Super Rare and everything just now because they feel as if they're playing against the whales and there's nothing for the lower down cards. But even if you just aim to hit the frame, I think you'll be able to get your kind of purchase price back in a relatively small number of game weeks. So there we go. I'm buying Super Rares, so maybe it's a bad move. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see at some point whether it works. But
it's a bold move. It's a bold move. But if there's someone that can pull off McBride, it's you.
Well, I hate divisions, right? So there's no divisions, so that's a huge plus point. Like you look at like what happened with Celtic, right? That's wrecked this weekend for me because I don't have any D1 entries at all. And then the Celtic Dundee games next Wednesday, and in Super Rare next Wednesday, the top prize a tier 3 Super Rare. So like it's kind of wrecked like a couple of weekends. Anyway, that's not so Rare's fault. It's nothing on next week at midweek, but I think it'll just be a better system for Super Rare. I know you don't like it as much because people do like divisions and there's reasons for them, but I think because they're actually paying out relatively long tails and stuff, it should be okay. Classic's a bit more difficult because they don't really have the card supply, but then maybe they can address that in some way next season when they do the big Classic revamp, treat it a wee bit different. So
what do you think they'll do for the Classic revamp? Can't really change it much, can you?
I'm not getting any hopes up whatsoever over Classic.
Yeah.
Just like I don't know. I mean, like in Super Rare, for example, they just don't have a supply, and they've been saying that forever. And anytime you ever discuss it, the only solution would be to put a bit of money into it, and I don't think they'll put any money into Super Rare Classic, so I just don't see what the actual solution is going to be. The other problem we've got is all these cards for this season are going to go into that Classic competition, plus the flip side of the 3 and 2 and the 4-1 is that you've got a lot of the stud cards that went into that last slot. They're going to go into Classic now. So, but before you were on, I described it as a parachute payment. I think what they should do is just say for every season that we pay out X amount, 10% of that will be paid out in cash in Classic, and then if you get your Lamine Yamal or whatever, people will say, well, that guy's really valuable because he's got another like 500 years left of like Classic, he's like under 23 until 2040, and they'll start in their head deciding that they'll spend more money on it because I think they'll be able to win every season. But there has to be something that comes down that kind of helps that out. But in-season card prices going up helps as well. So if they do that threshold thing with MLS and all the card prices all go up, that immediately helps Classic as well.
Yeah, because obviously, you could use that Classic piece in season, can't you? There comes a point in time where they have to consider like the amount of entries you can have, because obviously as more keep getting piled in, people are going to need more entries. Like I'm already struggling to I've got too many Classic cards in certain areas. Obviously, like selling them would be a great idea, but then you look at them on the market, and even for some like tier 1s and tier 2s, it's like £6 and £8 and stuff. And I'm just like, what am I going to sell it for? What am I going to get for it? I was thinking just today actually, with the new collection bonus thing, where you can have like multiple players from the same collection getting the percentage. I've got so many Arsenal collections now, and so many duplicate versions of, especially limited. I've got 4 Gabriel Magalhaes limited cards from the same collection. If I put them all in like Champ Classic, Prem Classic, and then like whatever specials are there. When Arsenal pop off that week, I'm winning everything. And so for Classic, it's like for the fact that you get them so much cheaper than in season. I do wonder. I was talking to Haber a bit about it today. Like, I think I would rather win Division 1 Classic than Division 1 in season, because you get a star, which is going to have a good premium. You get a bit of cash as well, which is really good. And you could do it at like half the price or even a little bit less. And so it's like, is it just better to actually prioritize Classic right now whilst everybody else is focusing on it in season? Do you zig when they zag, sort of thing?
I think with Classic, like the number one thing obviously is the card win, you know, like, and it's your best access to in-season cards. I think if you've got like, that's the way I've been trying to think this season, the way I've been trying to just finish off the edges of some collections and whatever. Because like how many stars, even if you are buying in seasons, how many stars are you buying for most people, you know, like, and even tier ones, you know, like they're few and far, you know, it's hard to get a bargain, and like it's better to win them than pay for them, sort of thing. So I'm with you on that. Would I rather win Classic in season? I think for the buzz, I would, because of especially still living off Harry Trades' fumes from that Yamal. I don't know if you've seen the video, you probably got it, but like Apex, like buzz, you know. So yeah, I'd rather win a card and some cash than cash in a box or whatever.
Yeah, I think the thing with Classic is it's probably a bit harder. So like in season, like I found in season rare Prem like a lot easier than like just rolling out my Liverpool stack in Classic D1. But I mean, you're right. Obviously, you get the card and you get the cash and stuff as well. But as the season goes on, the card values and utility go down as well. So that's a wee bit of a moving goalpost as well. So still okay just now-ish, because we've still got most of the season left. And actually, some of the teams like maybe Atletico Madrid, Real Madrid, etc., they're all going to this Club World Cup. So they'll probably have a wee bit of extended utility beyond the season. But later on in the season, if you get a team that doesn't have any games for about 8 or 9 weeks or whatever, and everybody's focusing on our stuff, you probably pick up some really, really amazing value Classic stuff that just in 2 months later will double or treble in value or whatever, just because nobody's interested in it whatsoever, or nobody's received the update on what's going to happen from Sorare. So definitely the opportunity there. I mean, all the MLS cards, for example, the Classic cards have even, you can see they're rising now. All the goalkeepers are going up. Kai Wagner or whatever was linked to a move to Parma, but I sold him for like 35 quid and he's like 80 quid in the market and stuff now. So maybe that was more of a mistake. But they're definitely rising. Even the Classic versions are rising, which is good to see as well.
My Galeno has just died. He's just got redexed. 50 million for Al Ali, signed him from Porto.
Today?
Just now, yeah. Literally just now.
Oh, ouch.
He wasn't scoring very well, mind you. So
John
did get hot for a bit, but John Duran's went as well. I like Classic a lot. I think like I have more fun building Classic teams generally, just because of the collection I've got and the different pieces I'm slamming together. But in terms of the zigging into it, like getting to Division 1 is a bit of a mission in itself. You know, like it's it's a bit of a mountain. I've been in D1 a little bit here and there with my teams, but you easily fall out of it if you're not totally on it, you know. Or I've just seen a wee bit of Friday Night Curse here. Nadim Amiri subbed off at half time, and I think there's been some other action before we came on in terms of maybe a goalkeeper was a letdown or something for somebody. But I'm thinking about champ on this one. D1's quite unforgiving in that sense. But I think within season, like even though people are prioritizing it, it's like the kind of division, like the lower divisions, it's the budget teams, it's the entry level players that are still kind of hanging around there. So is that maybe the zig, is playing low level in season?
Yeah, I do like the idea of low level in season, especially with some of the specials and stuff that you've had options for. And I think for me, it comes down to time as well. Like, do you have the time to kind of sit there and move through players, buy someone when you think they've got a good run of fixtures, sell them regardless, you know, even if you take a haircut on them, and then pick up the next guy you think is going to have a good run? The amount of research and investment of time that has to go into that, I'm like, I'll just buy a star. It's just saves me the time. I just know they're going to perform. But for people that have got maybe less lineups and just generally more time for the game, I think there's a lot of really, really good budget options. Like even like Tonali, okay, he's not like setting the world on fire for his scores really, but I picked up his in season for like 45 quid when he'd just come back from injury, and I was like, or from his suspension, and I was like, Jesus, I'm like for Newcastle who are smashing it, who always score well at home, like he's got good potential, and I don't need much to either A, win my money back from playing him, or B, to just be able to sell him for a profit because he's had a good couple of scores or something. Let's see what his price is now. I bet it's like 20 quid or something, isn't it? No, it's still 40 quid. Yeah, 35, 40 quid. So he's done all right for me. I think I have won a couple of rewards with him as well. Yeah, I have. So yeah, like there's a lot of players like that, you know, before he like even again Newcastle, but before he popped off massive this season, like Hall was real cheap and under 23 and in season. And then he went and ripped like 3 good scores in a row. He actually isn't scoring very well at all. But after his 3 scores in a row, he went up to like 200 quid. And I was like, damn, I should have bought him. You know, I'm thinking now he's just going to go and hit hundreds every game, like, which isn't the reality. But yeah, there's a lot of good options, especially if you do keep yourself in almost like Division 2 and 3 rare. You can keep like scraping the sort of like 16 quids and 30 quids here and there. And it really very quickly covers off the price points of these players that you'd buy.
Yeah, I love guys like Tonali. I'm just looking at his picture here on Sorare Data. I didn't realise he'd proper tashed up for this. It looks like a big, powerful shadow, but when you look at it, it's like a sculpted tash. It's like proper, you know.
Yeah.
He's got like HD brows efforts, you know, like proper went for it there, Italiano. So fair play. But I love guys like that, proper like tier 2, tier 1 level guys that can do any number of scores that you want. It's just about kind of against who and when is what you're trying to play against, you know. I was going to say around the same kind of time as you done that, probably. I got a classic Bruno Guimaraes for 35 quid, you know. So even if you're taking that strategy down the park a little bit and you need a classic captain, like rares are now like I don't really know why I brought that part up. I'm not too sure where this started in a sense. Oh, I think it was like the zigging and zagging part of it. But like classic Brunos and guys like that, rares once they get to like 30 quid, 20 quid. Some of them are just like, why not? Like, of course, I'll use this guy at some point. You know, like he's no stranger to 90.
Yeah, he's a banger for scores. I actually sold mine at the start of the season for 130 quid.
Nice.
Yeah, it was nice. I was so confident that Arsenal were just going to destroy absolutely everybody in their path. I was like, I don't need anything other than Arsenal midfielders. Like, and then of course we've been in spite of being second, we've just not been at it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if you have that with Celtic, where you'll pump someone 6-0 and like one guy will get 100 and the rest just get like 60s and 65s and stuff. That's kind of what it's been like.
Arsenal and Celtic are quite similar SO5 wise, where the forwards this season for us have been a real like letdown. And then the other stuff that you say there, like, it's quite spot on. Our defense smash, which is good now that Schmeichel keeps clean sheets. But yeah, it is hard to string a 5 together from Celtic. You know, that's the hardest bit of it. I think there was a joke going around mid-season or mid-season this year. It was like the best Celtic stacks have got Berardi in them, you know. So it's just like, I've got Berardi up front. I had to do that kind of thing. I think that's similarities between the two for sure. But we were looking at Arsenal today in the deadline show, and it is hard to pick like even 3 guys out of the lineup where you go, oh yeah, I'll play him, you know.
Yeah. Even this season, like Saka was like the shoe-in before, and Ødegaard was as well when Saka was there.
Yeah.
But now he's been injured. Of course, the year he gets a forward card, he gets like a 3-month injury and like kills me. But yeah, I think if you were to pick anyone, it'd be like Rice, Ødegaard, Gabriel. Like they'd be the 3 right now that I'd be so confident would score well. But even then, like because people just play a low block against us now, like consistently, we just don't we don't even get like the AA anymore. Like, do you know what I mean? Like there's no passing, there's no big chances created. It's just lots of possession lost from crossing. And it's like, man, I can't deal with this anymore. And then because we get counter-attacked, it's either a red card or an error led to goal. The clean sheet's gone, and now you're 1-0 down in like the 80th minute, thinking, well, this has gone down the pan. But yeah, when Saka was there, even if they played the low block, you just give it to him. He'll just do a little bit of magic in the box and create something, and that would be it. But yeah, it's been a bit difficult this year. I think even Liverpool, like, you know, they smashed people, and still they don't have. Like, other than Salah, they just don't have anybody that you can sit there and go, he's definitely going to bang. Like, VVD is there around that 70 mark every game, but he barely pushes up to the 100 ever. He just kind of stays in that 60 to 70 range. And that's good for in-season, I suppose, but not when you know that probably half the lobby has also got Van Dijk. It's like, you need somebody that's going to be the difference and hit a decisive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In-season stuff's actually pretty interesting from that point of view. I think, like, yes, I'm not overall the biggest fan of divisions, but like you can kind of run that sort of contra strategy and stuff and just like go for something different. Like this weekend, I've got like, you know, Dean Henderson and Daniel Munoz in there, and like I know they're playing Man United, they've been a bit hit or miss, but I genuinely feel as if that's got a reasonable chance with a clean sheet of being quite competitive. So it was like one of the weekends, I think the EPL was only 2 players hit 100, you know, so it rewards that sort of skill side. And what I really hope with the MLS is that Sorare pay out some good payouts, because it's like that's the only show in town for like a couple of like, months over the summer. So let's who cares if it's contained into that competition? So who cares if the car prices are relatively high, because that's all just based on what you can actually expect to win with them. So, you know, let's sort of make it good and let people enjoy it. But yeah, I mean, I think a lot of stuff Sorare are doing recently has been pretty good. I know we're all critical about a lot of things, but barring the sort of essence fuck up where it felt as if it was loads of momentum and then it was like boof, momentum stop. I think there's been lots and lots of good stuff this year.
It's been good. There's the rolling locks. How'd you find that for the Champions League? The Europa League was all right for me because I only had 4 teams to plug in, so it was real easy. Champions League, I had spreadsheets up. I was cross-referencing off of a notebook. I was like, mate, you know, like, I'm still sitting there thinking like something's going to go wrong here. Like I'm going to have made a bold error, and it did go wrong. Neto started for Arsenal and error led to goal. Like I'm like, come on, man! Like this is a clean sheet all day against Girona. Like just ruined every lineup for me.
That was a nightmare. I didn't even think about you with that Neto thing. We were streaming for it. I didn't even. I don't know why I didn't cross my mind. But yeah, that must have been an absolute sickener.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
How many of him did you have enough actual cards of him to not get too fucked by that?
Yeah, he was one of the few where I just did what I always say to do to everyone else, but never do myself. Where I'm like, guys, always have the backup goalkeepers. But that in that tournament, that was the specialist that put him in because he had L15 of 0, so he just went straight in as like the good one. I managed to finish 43rd with his 21 points, and if obviously if he kept the clean sheet, he wouldn't have had the error led to goal either. And it's a lot of if buts and maybe so's. But had he kept the clean sheet or whatever, I would have finished on the podium. And it's a bit of a sour one. Like, yeah, he's really cost me. Prick. Could have put anyone in there. Had loads of goalkeepers, man. I'd be like, do you know what you've cost me, mate? Like this, you know, send me some ETH now, or else like.
I'm getting big flashbacks to Thursday night. Harry Trades was singing the same song as you for Franjo Ivanovic, whatever his name is, the guy who plays for USG. He was playing against Rangers last night, 2 BCMs, and like rounded the keeper, took a shot, got blocked and all that. And Harry, like the rest of his team, I can't remember who was in it right now, but the rest of them absolutely, like Geiger and Bischoff and these other guys just all sorts of smashing.
100, yeah.
I had like hundreds of mad scores, but he was like, I'm going to find this Franjo.
Yeah, goal Vard as well. He scored and it gets yard.
Man, Mbappe with 4 big chances missed against Brest. That's tough. That's tough.
Funnily enough, I captained them, but because of that fantastic multiplex thing, I get the same money as I would have got.
Yeah.
Every cloud has a silver lining. I was going to say in rolling locks, I don't have any rolling locks. Like I've just got a bald head, so there's no rolling locks here in Scotland. But I don't know about it. I mean, like, see for a big weekend or whatever, like, you know, it felt quite frantic this week. And like, if you introduce that at a weekend, like, what point do you get to the tipping point where you start to put people off, where it's too much?
Yeah,
too many changes. You've got to be on your phone or your computer from Friday night to Saturday to Sunday. You can't go for your lunch because there's another lineup to adjust. Like, it's that type of thing, finding the sweet spot of, is it even just that's not the answer, that, you know, you maybe deselect some subs or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I like the after this week, I'm like, even for lineups today, I was like, oh my god, I'm exhausted already. You know, I'm fatigued of like building my lineups. But like I think it was actually you, McBride, that quoted someone and said this is like the best solution you've seen, and I've had a solution similar. Is like use collections And when you put a player in, you can only have a guaranteed sub from that same collection and that same position. And then you can pick 2 players. So let's say you've got Trent in there. So Liverpool defenders, right? So you can like pick your first sub if Trent doesn't play as like Bradley, and your second sub if Trent doesn't play as, say, Van Dijk, right? So if Trent doesn't play, Bradley goes in. If Bradley doesn't play, Van Dijk goes in. You don't have to do anything more. But the beautiful thing is because you've selected them as subs, you're not allowed to use them elsewhere. So that means you've got a Van Dijk and a Bradley on the bench, not in a lineup somewhere else, pushing scores somewhere else. And you still get the collection bonus. And with the new collection bonus coming in where you can have multiples of the same ones, it's not like you can't have 2 or 3 Van Dijks, so that you can kind of cover off different lineups from that perspective. And so I think it's a good way to like boost the low tier collection players, boost collections in general, allow for this situation where you can only have players from that same collection and that same position. And I don't think it can get manipulated in any way, because it's not like you can alter a different lineup somewhere else because you've had a cracker there and a stinker there, so then you'll make your sub. It's like it's already predetermined subs.
Yeah, I really like that, to be honest. Because one of the things about the Best of Europe competition was that, like, I went and bought a Danny Caballos because my common guy had an 87. Quinny even messaged me and said, "Where's your limited?" I said, "I can buy a limited now." And I went and bought Caballos, and I put him in, and then that was after the competition had started. And that's the bit I don't like about it. The bit I don't like is, like, people say, for example, you could adjust your teams, right? And, like, you play sort of Trent and Van Dijk, but you pick Bart Verbruggen. Brighton playing a Friday night. Bart Verbruggen concedes 5, he hits a 10, and you get Van Dijk and Salah in that team, or Trent, and you think, well, they're my best players. So then what you do is you swap them out into another lineup, because then you've got another chance with your goalkeeper. Like, just none of that really sort of works as a fair competition, because the reason why even FPL fan team, they've all got a deadline where even if it's before the first game, you got to make your choices. You might get subs, but it's got to be a point where it's fair for everybody, that people don't have extra information over the field and stuff. So, like, that solution you've given there would make huge sense for Sorare, because they'll, you know, Quinny Sinisalo, right? So somebody said earlier, Kasper Schmeichel's not training. He's okay. He's not injured. He was just given a rest. But see, if I wanted to play Sinisalo, I can't, because Sorare haven't really sold him. Because the backup, they don't want to sell him. What they want is, if Kasper Schmeichel gets injured, all the cards will start selling, then they'll start whacking out super rares, and then I'll start paying thousands of pounds for Sinisalo, and it'll be daft. But they don't want to sell them just now to me and have that lock. But if you do NEP solution, then that will give those guys some value, because people pay money to lock their goalkeeper.
Yeah.
People pay money to, you know, so that would be a good solution, I think.
TJ in the chat there as well says, then you need to name 10 subs, 2 for each potential DMP. Yeah, I think it'd be one of those things where you don't need to. You can if you want to. The option is there. You can also just not do it at all. And I think, like, for me, the way I would do it, if it was presented in my way, is like I would have the subs not as other premium players. I wouldn't have like Erdegaard and then the sub as Rice, just in case Erdegaard doesn't play. I'd have Erdegaard and then the sub as Nwaneri. So I know for a fact if Erdegaard doesn't play, he's the player that's actually replacing him. And then obviously, if you're putting the kind of like backup players as the subs, you could buy them at a fraction of the cost, because they're not like, you know, they're not the desirables. So I like it will create a little bit of an unfair advantage for people that do invest more into their collections. But I don't think any more so than somebody having a Yamal versus somebody having I don't know, even a Lewandowski. Like, you know, one of them is clearly better than the other, even though they're on the same team. So,
yeah, I like that. I like the idea of collection has been a part of it, certainly somehow, somewhere. The one thing I always think with that, but when you're talking about like the Liverpool example, is like, what if Conor Bradley doesn't play for Liverpool anymore? But, you know, you can still, like, I would like to think you can still lock him in because he's in that collection. But you've then got like maybe a known starter rather than a handcuff, if you know what I mean, where like, oh, he now plays for Preston or whatever, or maybe then you're at the risk of the competition then, so maybe not Preston.
Yeah, so you won't be able to do it in the competition then.
If he played for Fulham, right? Just say, you know, like, then, you know, but he plays right back for Fulham anyway, so
one of my viewers said for All-Star, it'd like be too overpowered, because you could have like Messi and Mbappe from the same PSG collection, plug Messi in and Mbappe as a sub. And I'm like, please do, because that means there's an Mbappe locked there as a sub, not in my tournament somewhere else. Like, yeah, go and lock your superstars in to guarantee one good tournament finish for you. Like, not that even having some, like, you know, you could have Messi and Mbappe as a sub. Messi doesn't play, Mbappe does play and drops the 22 points that he dropped a couple of nights ago. It doesn't guarantee you a good score just because you got them both anyway.
Yeah, that's a great shout.
The amount of good teams I look at and think, oh, that is an absolute stonker, and then I look at it on Sunday morning and I'm going, fuck, that's on the verge of being relegated. Like, I mean, it does happen quite a lot. But I get the points about the overall kind of threshold. For I guess the guys who trot out, like maybe guys who are lower average, think we're never going to really reach that score anyway. But it was an interesting discussion years ago about should you allow stacking, and the counter argument was that actually when Go Ahead Eagles beat, you know, Willem 5-0, that's that person's collection's chance to win big. So you should allow stacking because that's their chance. So it's all this pros and cons and stuff. But that's a really good solution. I mean, if there was anything to be introduced, then that would make a lot of sense. Because you look at, for example, Man City, and they rotate so much, and it obviously devalues Man City cards because for a lot of the spells they were scoring really well, but they just get hampered because nobody can actually predict what the team is. But you know, Sorare what to sell Kevin De Bruyne and Haaland, and Haaland's a bad example, he always gets picked, but Savinho or whatever, they want to sell those guys for good amounts of money, you know, and they can't because people are like, well, I can't pick 5 starters, and then it just really devalues the cards. So yeah, some sort of solution like that would be much better than everybody just sitting having wankers cramp for the whole weekend. Going,
the other thing I think about it as well is like it gives so much more utility to cards, because if you do, let's say you did what TJ said, like you have 2 subs for each one, all of a sudden you've got to have 20 more cards per lineup locked in. So if you're crafting those tier 5 plus pools and you get like a tier 3 that when he plays is a banger, but he only plays 1 every 4 games, somebody's going to want that. Like somebody's really going to like pay nicely for that. And I also think, I don't think you should be allowed to sub someone if they're on the bench and just don't come on, other than goalkeepers. If you got the goalkeeper wrong, I'm happy for a switch. But if you're the amount of times I've had De Bruyne just sitting on the bench and I'm like, fuck's sakes, Pep, like, please just bring him on. Like, let me get some minutes. I don't think you should get a free pass for that because it wasn't like something unexpected. But like when Ødegaard was out ill last week, unexpected, nobody knew.
DNP.
Yeah, I'm like, right, let me get the other guy in, please, because this is just unfair. Like if you just got it like half wrong, too bad. If it's full wrong, all right, we'll give you a pass.
Yeah, not in the matchday squad. I like that as a line. Yeah, I like that.
The other proposal I had was like the thing with the relegation. So what really annoys me is that if somebody chooses not to enter on a weekend, they don't get relegated. But then you put out 5 Celtic guys and the stadium's damaged, and then they just relegate you for it. Like there must be some threshold where, say you've got at least, maybe not 1, because you can still be competitive with a 4-man team. But if you get at least 2 guys in a lineup where the game's cancelled, where they just cancel your lineup and they just let you stay in that division, like, you know, it's just, I mean, my whole weekend's been ruined by, well, not ruined, I could still win D2s and stuff like that, but I've lost every single D1 entry just because the game was moved. And you're like, that's an easy fix to just find a way to just say, right, it's only if the game gets cancelled post deadline. It's only if these conditions are met. You've got at least 2 guys who are in those games, and then they just cancel it down. Like when the Liverpool thing was on, like just cancel those lineups, take them back out, let them retain their position. Everybody else gets on with it. Job done. So
yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm. Andre Nisco, why we point here that the out and out DNP thing is kind of exploitable. Like if you did just pick a guy that's never going to be in the squad anyway, like you just
then why wouldn't you just start the guy that you had as a sub in the first place?
True, actually, yeah. No, well, what you could do is you could deploy one of those guys in 4 teams, you know, and then just leave your man idle and wait until what team looks good, right? I'll
No,
sub you Alan.
so what I'm proposing is you lock it in for that lineup. So you're only getting one lineup. So it's not like you can choose. It's like it's an automatic switch that you predetermine. And once you've locked him in, it's almost like submitting him into a lineup. You can't just use him elsewhere.
Fair.
So yeah, I don't personally, but I also like what TJ said there. Like, I actually think it would be better as a collection player from the same game, not collection player from just the same collection, because you don't want that situation where like Bradley goes to Fulham and then you're like, oh, I've either got Trent who's going to smash for Liverpool or Bradley who's going to smash for Fulham, and I'm win either way. You want, like, if Trent doesn't play for Liverpool, you need that Liverpool player in. So it would devalue older collections a little bit for in that manner, but maybe they do like an in-season one where it has to be from the same match and same collection, and then a classic where it can be from the same collection, but the same competition rather than the same match. That'd be a little bit more appropriate, but yeah.
2 words out of my mouth, I was going to say that. Like, yeah, for in-season fair, but once you've had a collection for 2 or 3 seasons, that's like, look at your Taquito one we were chatting about last week, you know, like, it's just, they go everywhere, these guys, you know.
Yeah.
And after a year or two, like, I was going to put my Leipzig one on screen, like, all the defenders, all the midfielders, all now play for different teams, and none of them are Leipzig. Yeah. They're just absolutely everywhere. But I think right before you came on, Nep, I can't remember what it was McBride had said to me or asked, but I remember thinking at the time I was going to tell him, it was talking about buying MLS players, I think, perhaps. But with the news that Timo Werner has been linked to New York Red Bulls, I listed my super rare, and I managed to get it sold for a wee cheeky 95 quid, which I thought wasn't too bad. Had it listed at 110, so a wee bit of back and forth. I went out and got an in-season Werner rare, because that's just like kind of thing that I've decided to do with that kind of situation, for 15 quid, which I thought wasn't too bad.
In-season Werner rare?
Yeah.
And he will remain in season, do they not know, until like the start of the Premier League next year, playing in season there? I might have to go and pick up an in-season Werner rare.
Maybe it'll be a wee bit more than that.
If he's more than anything than like about 18 quid now, I'm going to buy yours, aren't I? Yours is going to be listed up now for about 40 quid. That's going to be... Yeah, look, the cheapest one now is 34 quid.
Oh, really? Wow. Yeah. I got mine 23 hours ago. That's a jump.
Yeah. Yeah. If you want to sell him for like 27 quid, I know a buyer.
I'll be keeping a hold of that one. But yeah, I was quite sad. I seen it listed for 15 quid. I was like, I'd be mad not to buy that, you know?
His classic is £14 right now.
Wow. It's not even that bad, is it? MLS Classic. Depends what you're doing.
Yeah, if he bags, like, because, you know, you'd think that MLS would probably, like, that would, you know, is that his level? I feel like that should be his level. Do you know what I mean? Like, he was banging it in the Bundesliga, which is a goal-heavy league. Premier League's goal-heavy as well. He just hasn't found his feet here. But you think in the MLS with like some of those games that he would be all over that.
With Forsberg, his old buddy, his old Leipzig buddy.
This is why I can't ever save money, because somebody has a suggestion about something and I'm all in on it.
Every time somebody moves to MLS, I buy them. That's what I was saying there. I bought the Paslic from Rijeka. He's away to Orlando, and I was like, so somebody listed a super rare for 140 quid, and I was like, I'm just gonna fucking buy that. Like, you know, like I paid like at least double, maybe more than that for like Facundo Torres last season, maybe mid-season when it was an in-season card. And I was thinking, he's under 23. So that's a good price. So, you know, I'm just going to buy it. So, yeah, I mean, I could pretty much put out a MLS special team just now, just from guys that are from Europe and they're still in season. So I wonder at what point they just start saying, I'll shut up, right? That's a bad idea. They're in season and that's it. But yeah, I mean, at least it creates a bit of action for the cards, right? And I think they've sold some Almirons or whatever on instant buys and everything as well. So it's not really a bad thing for Sorare, is it?
No, it's not. It is not. Man, I can't believe how expensive Werner is. You've done me in, Quinny, man. The fact that you went for 15 quid makes me, I almost don't want to buy him out of spite because he's just too expensive, isn't he?
Yeah, just about it. But I was going to say to you as well, I got another guy that I heard is on his way to Zenit. I thought this wee guy's going to smash 30 quid for him. And then I got a Kvitsgarden, who, as McBride knows, is just a kind of transfer hedge. So I thought I did all right. I've still got £7 sitting there that, like you, Nep, is burning a hole in my pocket, and I'm like, what classic can I buy for £7? You know,
Who's got this in it? Salazar?
Salazar, mate. Aye, Claudinho is left. I don't know if you know this. Claudinho is left in it and went to Al Shabab or whatever, and they're signing Rodrigo Salazar from Braga. So him with that Brazilian guy I bought a few weeks ago, Henrique, that'll be a doom pair, I think. I was going to say, like, I think I did quite well out of that Werner super rare in the end, getting another Werner anyway that I can play a Kvitz Garden and a wee Salazar, maybe a wee Zenit smasher.
Well, if it was 15 quid for his in season, the play was buying 90 quid's worth of in season rares and now selling them all for 34 quid and keeping one for yourself.
Maybe, yeah. That's a big balls play button. I've always got big balls for that. I bought 2 Asan Dials when they were 15 quid. Same kind of, and I sold what I traded one into an Aguerd. And I thought, oh, that's me being a big trader boy again. I didn't do it with this one.
I'm now the proud owner of 4 Timo Werner cards.
Oh, wow.
Let's hope that he smashes. I bought 1 limited and rare in season and classic. So
nice.
If he tanks, honestly, I'm going to send you a bill.
I'll give you an address to send it to, don't worry.
I can't speak until I've got at least 10 Salazars, right? So I mean, he is a good player though. He was pretty good for Braga, so that would kind of make sense.
This guy as well.
Because like Vendel's going
away.
to Fogo in this summer. I don't think he's away yet. He's going after the league finishes, isn't he? So that would make a lot of sense. Hang on, translate.
I'm still waiting.
He's just saying he's close. He's not saying he's actually signed yet.
You're waiting for who to come back, Nep?
Quincy Promise, mate. He needs to. I don't know how he gets back in the country, but he needs to get back in the country. I miss those hundreds, man.
Russian football's making a bit of a comeback, by the way. They're signing people, you know.
Oh yeah, interesting.
Spending money.
I wonder, like, because obviously, like, the players that play there have nothing to do with the war. Do you know what I mean? Like,
no UEFA competitions is the thing that is for me just surprises me that people move there. You know, because it's like you're just not playing. You're just playing Russian league. Like,
that's what I mean. Like, it's not their fault that like they didn't. You know, I don't know if they should have been kicked out of competitions. I do think they should have done, but it's like when the war ends, are UEFA just like, hello Russia, do you want to come back into the Champions League? Like, or are they just out for good now? Like,
it's a weird one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Saudi Arabia. I mean, say the games there and there's no crowd or anything. It's like back in the COVID days. Remember they were putting fake people in the stands and stuff like that. They were like putting mannequins in the stands, like put some crowd noises on and stuff. Like some of the games just bonkers. So yeah, a lot of guys. Like, I mean, John Duran, like he's probably a pretty good buy now because he'll probably go over there, make his money or whatever, and somebody will look at that at some point and bring him back to Europe or whatever, and you know you'll get some utility or whatever again. But
I don't know. For me, someone like Duran, what is he? 20. He's had. I wouldn't even call it's breakout season to a degree, but he's not even the starting striker for Villa. He's got a big deal move there. Like he's the sort of player that in 3 years you'll see him in China, then you'll see him in Brazil for a couple of years, then he'll be Mexico. In the MLS for a couple of He'll just Mexico for a while. He'll just like
great for Sorare.
Yeah, it would be.
That's like a gen move.
I make you right on that, Nep. I think John Duran is like Aston Villa have pulled off a blinder with this guy, like absolute blinder. Like sign him for 18 mil, just get him off the bench scoring bangers and triple your money.
That's what I plan to do on MFL. Those.
Ooh, nice.
Good.
Yeah. What actually? Are you allowed to talk about MFL on here, or is this like so rare? So I want to show you this player. I don't know if I might have showed you, Quinny, actually when we was chatting after the fact last week. But I just want to show you this player, and I want you to let me know what you think. I'll put him in a Discord for sure. But I'm still kind of like learning the UI. So I've got this young striker. Actually, he's a midfielder, Mihai. I bought him because he's a 60 rate striker, but he's got 72 shooting.
Nice.
Which in this division, like some of the best strikers, even like 65, 68 rate strikers only had like 69, 70 shooting. So I thought, is it like I paid $20 for him, which is way above like the 51 staple, but about $10 less than strikers that had like similar stats. Is this the sort of guy that I can like train up nice, play him a couple of seasons and then sell him on for a profit, or is he the sort of guy? Have I got a Durand here? Is what I'm asking you, or have I got like, do you know what I mean? Like some stinker.
Nah.
I think I like 72 shooting on a guy like that is great. 67 pace is great as well. I think on a guy like that, physical is a bit of a sore one, but because like you'll play him 3 games and he'll be like at 90% fitness or something, and you'll be like,
he's
crap,
young.
I
We'll
need to
get him in
rotate.
the gym. Don't worry, we'll get him in the gym. We'll be all right.
I like it, mate. Were you going to play him right mid or up front?
No, up front, definitely. I'm actually going to make him captain as well because he goes up to 74 shooting as captain.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
And he gets quicker.
He does, yeah. I think he only gets 1 pace, mind you, but 2 shooting, which is where it's at. I believe that's where it's at anyway. Like from what I've looked at and stuff, like I've been challenged by so many people that have just got teams much better than mine, and he's bagging goals in friendlies. Is Mihai? Look at that, 7.3. Not quite man of the match there, but 7.3 rating for the man against who's this? That? The Snake. I'm yet to understand. How do I know how good his team is?
Click the middle dots. Here's 3 dots there.
Middle dot.
Oh, thank God I beat that team. What a pile of crap that is.
That's not bad, actually. It's quite a good team.
Yeah, I've got cracking. I spent like $300 on those packs the other day.
Wow.
And picked up.
Well done.
I managed to get one of each of them. I couldn't believe it. Like,
they go fast, don't they?
Yeah, they did. Yeah. What was my best guy? I got
that 78 defender looks good.
Yeah. Oh yeah, this guy. Yeah, I couldn't see the blue. And I thought about like trying to maybe like put him up, like loan him out and take a share of somebody else's MFL. But I thought, no, do you know what? He's young, 21. Like if I keep him and some of those other high rated cards I've got for a good few years, maybe I can just use this team to actually bounce me like 2 or 3 divisions as I go. Yeah. And I'll just take all the MFL for myself. So yeah.
I like that.
The only problem with him is it kind of hampers his development a wee bit, not playing with guys who are similar level. So, like for the training, but I mean, like if you packed it or whatever, like it's a really good card to have. But that's kind of type of guy I'd want to buy, to be honest. So that's a good card to have. Like definitely a good one. So
that's good to know. When I was talking to Matt about it, like, and he explained like every player could be a 99.
Yeah,
like there's like only a slim chance. But I'm looking at that Mihai 51 guy. I'm like, if this is the fucking 99, I'm in there, man. I'm like, I've got the best card on the platform.
I like what you did there, though. See if you're going to buy a guy that's 51, just focus on the stats that's good for that position.
Yeah,
like you're going to get a guy who's kind of average, like a guy with 80 shooting or whatever. Well, he's a striker, like that's what you want him to do, So yeah, it's better than having a guy that's like get 550s or whatever. That's just not worth anything, really, So
yeah, I'm like proper hooked on MFL. Like I don't want to ever speak negative on Sorare because I love Sorare, but it's a much more engaging game than Sorare, isn't it?
It's like you can just lose yourself in it because it's like a football manager mode where you're just like it's just like the world closes off around you, and you're just like in this wee world where right, what do I need and where's the market and all that kind of stuff. I had a wee guy I was going to show you, Nep. It's similar vein to yours there. I needed a centre mid, and I ended up getting a left back who also plays centre mid. And his stats I thought were just pure off the charts.
Hey, look at 77. Jesus Christ.
81 pace, 77 passing.
So his overall's real high because his shooting's so low, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like he's got 4 stats at 70 or above for a 70 rated card. And yeah, what you were saying before, McBride, like what you want from a player, very good passing, good defending and physical in that centre midfield role, and then good pace. You have him as like a bit of a playmaker. He could do a job, couldn't he?
Aye, rapid pace, and he's right-footed, but a left back as well, which is weird. So he's like a mad rando. But seen that. I think I spent 30-40 quid on him. I bought him off the market. But I had that problem of he's still under contract with our team, so I had to like request contract cancellation. And I'm sitting there like, I hope the guy does the right thing here.
So I found that quite interesting. There was a good like 5 or 6 players that were like being sold way below their station, and every time I was like, oh my god, there's a bargain here, I found someone, it gives me that little orange like, oh, this is contract to someone else. And I was just like, it might still be worth buying them, waiting until the contract expires and then using them, but you don't that's going to be like at least 6 weeks if it's 1 season, or maybe like 3 months, 4 months if it's like 2 or 3 seasons. How will the landscape of the game have changed in that amount of time to the point where I might be now looking at this guy thinking, oh my God, somebody else has used my guy for the last 3 years. Yeah.
Well, you can request to cancel the contract, and it's up to you're at the mercy of them accepting it. Yeah. So I don't know if people do it and they don't really know they've done it. That's why I was kind of hoping is like they're not doing this maliciously to like sell their card and then keep it for a year. But it's more that maybe they don't know the buttons, you know. Yeah. So I kind of bought mine and crossed my fingers, said the request cancels. So if something that looks mad cheap, it's maybe worth a punt, you know, because it might just be somebody selling a card, you know.
Going with Bride, you had a point. I was interested.
Yeah, no, I had a really interesting one. Like I took over a Dublin team, and it was the guys were all loaned in. I looked at the market the other day, and there was a Scottish defender on it. He was a 78, and I was going, "That's the fucking guy that was in my Dublin team." But I couldn't work it out because he was 78, and I looked back, and when he was in the Dublin team, he was a 71. In the last season, he's went up 7 points overall already, and I was so tempted to buy him just because I was a Scottish guy and stuff, and he was there. But I never owned him at any point. It was just when I bought Dublin, they just had loads of guys loaned in at that point. It was mid-season, so like your point about like progression and stuff. Like if you do fancy kind of buying a couple of guys and just they're out on loan or whatever, that might not be a bad thing as long as that team's actually using them, because then they're getting the progression. And some of the guys just start going up, and you're like, where did that come from type thing. But it's not going to happen to everybody. But I think that's why it's good about that excitement factor, and you get that hype of like, could this guy become good?
Yeah, I definitely think like one of the ways I want to play the game. And when I was talking to Math, I think he said you play one of your teams at least very similar, and there's a few people play like this. But I kind of want to have like actually a lot of ice teams, like maybe like 5 or 6 down there, and just buy loads of really low rated players for $1 and just play them and train them. And if they become, you know, if however much a $10 card is only like what, 55, 58 rated card. So I only need like 1 out of every 10 to jump up to there to like make money's worth. And the more you've got, the more chance you've got of having that like 94 rated card or that 98 rated card that's worth like a couple of thousand. And so my plan is to have like a couple of teams at least kind of in every tier. So if I've got somebody who's like progressing really fast, I want to move them straight away into that, like a division that's eligible for them so they get even more XP again for the next time, and try and like have my own pyramid scheme of farming the cheapest, youngest players constantly up through the pile and then selling them off. But it will take a lot of investment and a lot of time. And I've got like my dad's in like ICU at the moment, like pretty unwell. So like my mind's been elsewhere, but every time I sit there and look at MFL, I'm like, I'm ready to do this, you know, like, and then, you know, time just, like you say, you get lost in it, don't you? And I just don't have the time to get lost in it at the moment. So I have to like take a step back before it ends up ruining my day. Yeah.
I heard you mention that about your dad, by the way. I hope everyone's all right. And
thank you. He's unfortunately, very, like, I don't want to trauma dump on people. He's unwell, but he's on the mend, and hopefully be out of ICU in the next couple of days or weeks at most. So thanks.
I think on behalf of everyone, I definitely think, you know, thoughts and prayers are definitely with you. I heard you mention it the other day, buddy, and I say for everyone tuning in, I'm sure everyone will be in the same frame of mind. Before you mentioned that, but I was going to say it's the Penfez football group. That's what you're building here, isn't it?
I mean, I could. Yeah, I could. Do you know? Would that be easier then for me, instead of buying my own clubs, just get managers and be like, just contract all these players out to these other managers to do the work for me? And be like, here's your bunch of players for the season. Here's your bunch of players for the season. Like, I'll take what's the most MFL that you can take if you like. Like, what's the most MFL you can give up? Is it 50%?
No, you can
do all of it.
You can do like 100%. Like.
Oh yeah. So I'll leave them all with like 10% for the managers. It's like, I'll take 90% of the MFL off these contracts. You keep 10%. You just run my club for me.
You definitely could. Definitely could. Like say again, when I spoke to Matt, the guy who runs it, he definitely sees it as more of a, like, again, not to use too many buzzwords or whatever, but more of like a metaverse situation they're building into, with the way it's an agency and a club and all the rest of it. Because when we did that Magos de Madrid, so they had a Diamond League club net. I don't know if you've seen this, but they had a Diamond League club, and they like put out it was a bit of a marketing thing, you know, submit your application to manage the team this year. And essentially, it was me and another guy, like an actual player that had been on the game before, as I was kind of making videos and stuff. And we both ran, that was kind of the idea of that, is we were to both kind of half run the club. I was really new to the game and didn't feel comfortable with a high stakes team like that. I was just like, whatever you think's best, mate. I'm sure you've got it sorted, and he did quite well with it.
But relegated.
One of the things that not in the first year, last year it did. Season 1 did good. Season 2, not as good. But one of the things that I remember them saying was like they would like to develop it even as just as an idea. Like you could do where, let's see what you're talking about there with those clubs. Like you could hire me as the manager of one of your clubs if you wanted, and you could hire McBride as the football director, and all McBride does is scout for players and deal with contracts and shit. And all I do is the fucking tactics and whatever. And you could play. You could then play with your friends a wee bit as well. You could have that kind of
that would be fun. I enjoyed. I've had a couple of calls with Matt now, and I enjoyed. Like you can tell he's passionate about it, and like he's just like fully into it, and it's nice like listening to him. But I was talking to him about have you heard of One Football Fan?
I've heard that. Yes,
So it's like an AI fantasy football, and you manage a club, and the games are AI, the players are AI, everything's AI, and some of these players have got Instagram accounts, and when they're going on a match day, you see an AI generated image of them at like the airport, like holding their bags, and then an AI generated caption of like, off to the game for blah 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 blah. Some of them have got brand deals because they get that much interaction. So like AI people have like, obviously like somebody controls them who's actually like pocketing the cash. But I see the same thing with this, and I've heard Matt talk about it. I think the Ramble podcast he was on, he was talking about it, like, getting investments, like outside investments and sponsorships and stuff, because people are like so behind your project where they're like, we want you to like win the league this season, but you're not going to be Prestige 26, which is my team's name. You're going to be, McDonald's Prestige, or you're going to be, you know what I mean? Like you're going to get that sponsorship. So change your team name, brand up, all your brand awareness and stuff. So when you're making content on it, the brand partner has got all of this exposure, and they lob you, £1,000 or whatever to go and buy some sick players to help build the team and build the brand and stuff. And I'm like, wouldn't that be sick for people that were either not good enough or had other circumstances that didn't allow them to either play football or play in or manage in football or something? And Football Manager's like good, but the online structure is a bit more difficult, and it's a bit more like solo. But you know what I mean? It's a bit like isolated. This could be insane with like the whole foundation of live and everything, playing against people. And I just think it's the sort of thing that could really like transform the social space. I think I was saying this to you last week, Quinny, like how I believe like this has a place in our future, like a massive place like FPL does right now, not like a kind of like niche place, but I think this could be the sort of game where the masses would be involved. And like when I talked about it on stream a couple of days ago, somebody was like, I'm not paying 80 quid for a club, like that's a rip-off. Like, you buy FIFA every fucking year, pal. You pay 100 quid a game, 100 quid a year for that game. Just think of it as like buying the game. You know what I mean? You're not, you count it as a loss straight away. Don't think about any money you might get back or anything. Just buy the team. And then once you've got the team, you don't have to spend ever again. You could just contract in players, offer up the, your percentages, farm your MFL. Even if you then get a couple of packs, sell those players, like recoup some money. But it's like, it's a sort of thing that I think has like huge potential if it's done well and done right. And I think Matt's obviously an incredibly smart man. I think they've got the facilities to take this like real far.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, me too. Yeah,
I like it. It's good fun. I've been kind of sucked into it this week as well. It's been fun in amongst all the Sorare stuff, just kind of diving into it and getting ready for season 3. I had some transfers to do and all that caper, and like I mentioned, like trying to deal with some contracts. I just kind of logged into it there and seen that I'd had 2 contracts rejected. Sadly, they've decided to go elsewhere, offered better terms at some jabroni club I've never heard of before. but I know it's good crack. I've had a lot of fun with the player instructions as well. I thought that was a big game changer.
Is that new this season, is it?
Yeah, aye. Okay. So it was on a friendly engine for a week or 2. I never really got to play it. I just didn't have the time. But I've been playing friendlies for the last couple of days, and it makes such a difference because I came into this year off the back of going from ice to stone or whatever it is I'm in. And I thought, I'll play this shape and I'll try and get some of these guys and try and play football this way, and try and like attack teams and do something a bit different. But it never really panned out like that. and I was about to kind of like give up on that and just go for something that's a bit more meta or a bit more like, you know, just make sure we do all right in this league and then go for fancy stuff. But then when those playing instructions came out, I thought, do you know what? I can make this work. I can get the plan A back on the road, and maybe I've done it, maybe I've not, but certainly looking forward to it.
Is there like a meta formation?
Well, I think there's bits and pieces at different times, you know, depending on the like who you're against a little bit. So I don't know about this explicitly, right? But I played 4-2-4 a few times in the first season because that's the formation Celtic played when we beat Inter Milan in the European Cup final. So it's an old Celtic super tactic there.
Okay.
And it didn't really work out that well for me because I've got two really strong forwards, right? But Jay, who plays Sorare, he messaged me one day on the Telegram group. I never actually got back to him. I remember seeing this bubble message coming in saying, "Have any of you played 4-2-4 on MFL yet?" And I didn't really think anything of it. I played a guy in a friendly the other day. He had 4-2-4, and I'm not kidding you. He got 3-on-2 with my defence almost every highlight. I was playing quite a high line, it must be said, but he just bullied me that whole game. It's just I wasn't getting out of it. So there's wee things like that crop up. I had a high line, that 4-2-4 just slayed me.
Yeah, fairs. So I don't want to derail the Sorare talk, sorry, because this is a sort of game I would be here tomorrow still talking about this if I get started.
Yeah, I think the really good thing as well is like sometimes you can kind of distract yourself a wee bit. Like, so say we're talking about Sorare, all these different announcements. This is happening, that's happening. There's debates. It's rolling locks, non-rolling locks. Is McBride going to wear a wig? No. But like all that type of stuff. And sometimes when that happens, I just kind of go and play a bit of MFL and just distance myself. Because in the past, when that happens, I would be looking at my gallery going, "Oh, so I sell that guy and what I take that." Like, whereas sometimes like you can get yourself away and just say, "I'm going to play that for a couple of days and just wait and see what actually happens. I've had a shite game week, but I'm going to go and do something else." And like every time somebody talks about Sorare or MFL or FPL or whatever, some people take that as, it's this against that, or you can't play that with that. Well, you just play both if you can, with the budget, obviously, at the time, but you can definitely play like the different games, and it's not the same game. It's not the same type of game, but it's got a really good sort of community. And like you were saying earlier, but you buy a guy, like I bought someone and he was under contract. The guy messaged me and said, "Look, if you want me to cancel this, then I'll do it." I was like, that was really nice. And like a lot of times in Sorare, people want to scam you and all that sort of stuff. So
you could effectively play MFL for as little as $1, couldn't you? You buy one card for $1, you're in the game.
Yeah.
You just loan him out to a nice team, start raking in the MFL, don't you? 3 years later, you get yourself a pack and get yourself a second player. Like you're well on your way.
The theory stands up, but you would be waiting like 3 years, like 1,000 seasons.
Or you never know. You loan him out. Maybe he's the guy. Do you know what I mean? Maybe you bought a guy for $1. 3 seasons later, he's like 20 ratings higher. You sell him for $15. Then you go and buy 15 guys for $1. Now you're fully in. It's just endless. All you need is people keep at the bottom to keep putting the money in. Do you know what I mean? That's all you need.
Yeah. And you get those Timo Werners.
Yeah.
It's a good pyramid structure, but it's not like obviously in Sorare you can just say, right, I'm kind of £1 million. I'm going to prank say I'm going to buy all the top cards, but like on MFL you would have to start from the bottom, or you would need to go and buy the actual teams from the guys at the top, and you would for them. So it's kind of almost better just say, why don't you just start at the bottom and just kind of learn the tactics and train your guys up and stuff.
I was fascinated by their like ability for like longevity with it, with like retirements and like the way the progression is, that it won't just eventually be a situation where everybody's running around with 99s, but like there's only always going to be like a small pocket of players that can reach that potential. And it's like the real football pyramid, isn't it? It's like you got a star, maybe they have a good couple of years, they look great, but you maybe just don't feel that they're going to keep progressing, so you sell them off for a little bit of a premium, or maybe you think that they are and they don't, and then you're left with like a stinker like Nicolas Pepe for a couple of years that just doesn't do what he was brought in to do, or like a Duran. Do you know what I mean? Like again, like Villa are like sitting there they're either going to be rubbing their hands together in 3 years' time, going, "What a sale that was," or they're going to be sitting there going, "Why the fuck did we sell him for so cheap? He's the best. He's gone on to become, Real Madrid's new best top scorer, put Mbappe out of the team, and we've missed out on 150 million extra quid if we'd waited another year or two." And that's what I love about MFL is like one of the things that my brain does is when I play a game, once I know how to beat the game, I stop playing it because I get bored. I don't actually have to beat it. It's just like once I've clocked what do you have to do to beat it, I just lose interest because I'm like, well, I know how to beat it now. I'm not going to go through the motions to actually get to the end. There's no beating the game with MFL. And that's what like interests me with like Football Manager and FIFA and stuff like that. Like it's just there's never an end. It is just relentless. There's always ways to improve, better players to get, better tactics to make, another result, another team, another like issue, another injury, or I don't know if they have injuries right now, but there's always something. And like that's what fascinates me about like Web3 gaming and stuff is like because it's based on like the blockchain technology and like Sorare, like I tried to explain this to Led when he did something a few weeks ago about like the cost of waiting, and I'm like, there's no cost of waiting because that guy that you could have got last week that's now doing insane this week, there's another guy this week that's doing bad that will do insane next week. So you've just moved down the kind of like time scale a little bit, but you didn't actually miss out. It's not like you can never have that scenario again. And so I think for MFL, like once I start making content on it, that's when it's going to get problematic for me. That's when I'm going to like say to my wife and kids, like, just take 6 months off, go on holiday, like come back. You've got a new husband, that's fine. Like, does he play MFL? Like, let's see if we can get together.
He was a great cook,
Yeah.
I look forward to it, especially if you make some content on. That'll be good crack, of course. I'm looking forward to it as well. Season 3 should be good crack. And somebody was asking in the chat, I just popped it in there, but registration for season 3 is ending in 1 day and 13 hours. So if anyone is getting a team and hasn't got one yet, it's straight into the deep end for you.
Yeah. So I did buy another team because it came with a free pack. And so now I'm wondering, like, should I register that team as well and literally just buy like the 20 cheapest $1 guys and see what the fuck I could do with them? $20 to play them. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I've got some spare players you can have. They're probably better than $1 players.
No, because I like the experiment of like I've spent $25 on these 25 players. I'm going to play them. Yeah, I'm going to play them over the season. What are they worth at the end of the season? And worst case scenario, I can't remember off the top of my head what you get as like the lowest amount of MFL, but I'll win that. But the worst, you know what I mean? Worst case is like 800 MFL or something. It's better. Like, I don't know what the cheapest pack is either, but it will still be nice to like start bankrolling that. Or almost might be better like once you've got the clubs to just run fucking thousands of clubs in ice and just start bankrolling the lowest MFL, but like thousands of times.
Yeah, I think you can. I think I'm trying to think what the player pack is. I can't remember. It's maybe a bit lower than the minimum sort of league standing. You maybe need to come like third bottom or something, but it's not too bad to be honest. So, it's rewarding to move up. I had that strategy as well and started looking through the market, and I spent like $100 and just completing utter shite. So I mean, you look through, so I'm going to buy a guy at $1. I've seen somebody at $7, and then you just get kind of lost in it type thing. But yeah, it's good fun. I love the sort of development side, like just looking at the player progression and how the stats progressed, and you get that kind of training and stuff, and you just sort it and see who's done well and stuff. It's good. It's quite engaging. So
yeah. I wonder if on my 51 rated guy that's a 60 striker, when he plays and earns XP for playing, does he, even though he's a 60 rated striker, does he earn XP as if he's a 51 rated player? Because he's effectively playing with players way above his station because he's only 51. So is he actually going to get quite large progression because he's playing with loads of like 60 rated and high 60s? Or is it because he's a 60 rated striker, he's just going to be like in the mix as normal?
I'd say the first thing.
Yeah, wouldn't that be
he's a 51 rated. Like what's on the ticket, I think, is the bit that goes into the equation. I think.
Yeah, well, that's good. That's good. I'm really excited about him. Like, I'm like, I only bought him like 3 days ago for 20 quid. I'm like, I've already connected with him. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're best pals now. And yeah, I was looking at a few of the highlights there. I don't know if you can like see properly individual stats from the games? Can you see like how one player's done, like shots they've taken, missed, things like that, passes they've taken?
There is some stats for sure. I'm not too sure where the best place is to look at, but I'm sure there is things like I may be wrong. Let me go and check a match.
Because in the game that I lost, I had 14 shots and 13 of them were off target, and I'm thinking to myself, he's got 72 shooting. So either I've got a full-on fucking dud, or somebody else is taking shots from range that I don't want to be.
No, I don't think it is actually. I thought when you were into the match there was a wee bit, but it's just like you need if you pay attention to the commentary bar, I think it will say stuff. You'll be able to catch it, like because you can watch the full match. See if you want to see all those shots. Yeah,
shots. I have got shots.
Have you found the stats?
Yeah, found it. So my man had 4 shots and missed them all. What a guy!
How did you find it? What did you click on?
So in the top left where it says match, click on report instead. And
of course.
All the details are there.
Shots, passes. Yeah. You can see this somewhere in your club as well, where you can maybe see their season totals maybe or something.
I couldn't find it for friendlies. I could only see like competitive games.
Yeah, I think with the friendly, I'm looking at a friendly one now. You maybe need to look at the match report and just kind of manually kind of have a peek. Because people could just challenge you. See, your team name's kind of out there. Like you'll just probably just get a few friendly challenges left and right.
I've had loads. Yeah, my players are going to be dead, mate. They're playing about 73 games a day. It's crazy. Yeah.
Last thing I'll say on it certainly, but somebody's asking in the chat how much does the clubs cost? It's $80 is what it's at the moment, not pounds. But tomato for some of you, I know. I like to think of things that are dollars as pounds, and then just being happy with the change. That's the kind of way I look at dollars. Is you're always getting change back from it, sort of thing. So yeah, I'm in a good buzz for it. In terms of Sorare stuff, I'm not too bored about the chat game deal because it's Friday, it's the end of the week, But I do forget where we kind of were. I think the last thing I remember kind of talking about was that Werner move, and it kind of spiraling everyone off into market chat, which was good crack. Yeah, certainly. But you guys didn't seem to know the Salazar one. How have you been keeping up in general with transfer window this week? So there's been some moves finally happening. It's been quite busy.
I haven't been. I rely on my chat when I'm streaming to be like, such and such is going here. And I'm like, oh, nice. And then I'm like, I really should buy some. And then I'll look at the market and they've already like spiked. And I'm like, well, I'm too late. Yeah. Like, no, I don't play so rare like I used to, man. Like, I think we might have talked about this before. I might talk about this with Led before. I loved finding the gems from like, the Liga de Quitos and stuff like that, where it's like their points were just as valuable as Messi's and Neymar's and Mbappe's because All-Star was the place to be. I don't care too much about the transfers now because it's like if you're moving from Challenger or Contender into Champion, you're probably going to score worse than somebody I've already got. And if you're moving from Champion out, then the prizes are worse than what I'm already getting in Champ. And it just kind of leaves me thinking like, I just don't care.
Fair enough.
Bit of a bad attitude for it, but yeah.
Fair play. I get that. I kind of didn't really expect myself to get sucked into the transfer kind of merry-go-round or whatever, but some of the moves that are happening are quite exciting. And like I say, I've always got money burning a hole in my pocket on Sorare these days. Like if I've won a wee bit of cash, I've got some market credit sitting there. So I've been sucked into it quite a bit. What about you, McBride? Have you managed to keep up with it quite well in the last week? You bought MD, missed out on something?
Everybody moves to the MLS, so just buy them. Like, yeah, a lot of the Euro cards are in season, so like that's kind of a good angle. Like, obviously they're only in season until maybe July or August or whatever, but you're getting a head start. Cash comps might be quite good. So, but I think the window is actually quite a fun sort of period because it's like that guy's going there. Like, how's he going to do? Like, I bought Ivan Illich, because like he's supposedly going to Spartak and thinking he's in season, he can't be minted again. He's quite cheap. He's young, so that's just like a kind of obvious good buy. But it is quite hard to keep up with it. I think like the kind of like X algorithm now is like just sends me like pictures of beer, naked women, and fucking Sorare moves. Like it's got me down to a T. So like that's it. The whole thing's sorted. And then just buy guys. But I mean, we'll see. It's only a couple of days left. Maybe Celtic will buy some players now as well. We'll see. Kieran Tierney, Ep.
Yeah, well, I think he's coming to the end of the year now, I think. And end of the transfer window, mate. We can't afford to. He's our best left winger at the moment.
Love it.
Yeah,
love it.
Yeah, we can't afford to let anyone go.
I was saying to Bride before we came on, like, number one, we don't need to buy somebody to help us lose to Bayern Munich. You know, like, so like that's just not going to happen now, is it? And I don't mind Tierney having his last hand at the table before he leaves the Premier League, because let's be honest, he's not going to go back once he comes back here. You know, like, he'll be there for life. And you know, I wouldn't say you guys are in, like, or out the title race necessarily, but you are second. You know, like, and
anything can happen. I saw something today. I was watching this guy on YouTube, and he was kind of explaining, like, with Arsenal, like, there's only one team better than us in the world right now, and that's Liverpool. They're first in the Premier League. They're first in the Champions League. I think that speaks volumes about where they are as a team. But we're second in the Premier League and third in the Champions League, and Barcelona are third in their league and second in the Champions League, and no other team boasts those credentials. So it's like, okay, we're not winning trophies at the moment, which would be really nice, but we are one of the best teams in Europe at the moment. Like, it's just, you know, the Champions League and the Premier League kind of prove it. So when I look at the Champions League, I'm like, damn, like, if we get like a nice run, if we get like a nice draw out of this next round and we avoid like the big teams, maybe, like, you just don't know. I'm sitting there thinking, like, I reckon we could win the Champions League. Like, we probably won't, but, like, you know, like,
City, Real Madrid taking care of each other a wee bit there. And
yeah. If we could get a few, I can't remember the exact like potential matchups, but there was a few tasty ones that were there. Even I think, is it Liverpool potentially got a difficult round. So they've got either PSG, Brest, Benfica, or Monaco. If it's Liverpool PSG in that round of 16, that could be the end of Liverpool. Like, so yeah, I'm quietly confident.
Yeah, then Celtic knock out Bayern, and
that'd be great.
Like, what else is there? Nobody's left to stand in your way at that point.
Yeah, that's tough, isn't it, for Real Madrid and Man City? One of them's gone already now. That's it.
Yeah,
that's tough.
Do you think Pep's happy it's somebody like Real Madrid? Don't know. Maybe they get knocked out, or do you think he's a bit?
Yeah, I think it'd be a lot easier for him to be like, it's Real Madrid. It's like, what can we do? Like, you know, best team out there. But that quartet in general is just devastating, isn't it? So you either had Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, or Man City as your next opponent. Like,
that was only Man City. It was only Real or Bayern.
Oh, was it?
Like 2v2.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah. That's
and then Atletico Madrid or like fucking.
Aye.
Yeah.
So us trying to sign Tierney in January would have happened if we got like Feyenoord or something like that, you know, and it'd be like, oh, sign Tierney, then we'll get to the quarterfinals, you know.
Yeah.
But then when you get Bayern, it's like, we don't need to spend money on him in January.
Yeah.
I
was saying on stream though, like, and it's good for like Sorare purposes, like seeing the brackets like that as well, because you can kind of like sort of plan who you think is going to be and what you can do with your lineups. But you know, Liverpool got 80 million quid for finishing first, and when you look at now some of these matchups in that playoffs and then who they're going to end up playing in the round of 16, it's interesting now what's going to happen next season. Like, I'm not saying like Real Madrid and Man City didn't take it seriously in the Champions League, but, you know, like, did they take it as seriously as they would have done if they'd have known that this was going to happen? Like, now that we've got a little bit of like historical data, I wonder if next year, when it's like, you know, Real Madrid against like the worst club in the tournament, they're just going to go gung-ho and just put 10 past them and be like, we're not falling for this crap again. You know, we're just going to absolutely smash the shit out of these clubs. And then that way, if we get a draw or a loss against one of the big clubs, we're still going to be fine.
I think you're onto something there. I never thought about that at all, by the way, especially from the Man City Real Madrid angle, because they were like left blushing towards the end. Even Bayern Munich, like, not being in the top 8, it's a big embarrassment for them, I would say, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, it could be. It could be quite fearful next year if you see Bratislava against Real Madrid again and that kind of thing, you know.
Yeah, they're rocking up. They rest the star players on the league against, you know, Barcelona on the weekend. It's like, no Mbappe, no Vinicius Junior against Barcelona. They're like, what are you doing here? It's like, oh, they got Bratislava on the midweek. It's an important game. They're going to smash them.
It's a Sorare multiplex.
Yeah, yes, indeed.
The multiplex, because so many teams finished on the same amount of points, like all the way across the table. Like goal difference is a factor, you know, like it will be. And I seen an interesting thing. I think Celtic had, like, statistically or whatever, was like the easiest fixture list of the tournament, and I think the hardest was a weird one, by the way. It wasn't somebody you'd expect. It was something like it wasn't Arsenal, but it was something like Arsenal. If you know what I mean.
I thought PSG had an insane
Maybe
like,
PSG.
list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was somebody decent, you know.
They had Stuttgart, City, Salzburg, which wasn't too bad, Bayern, Atletico Madrid, PSV, Arsenal, and Girona, which probably at the start of the Champions League were probably regarded as quite a difficult game because they had a great season last season. But yeah, that was quite difficult.
Yeah, it just goes to show you as well, like the fixture list, like next year, like could be totally, will be totally different, you know, and
yeah,
the impact that maybe has. It's definitely going to be like next season. There's going to be an extra layer on the drama and the strategy going into it for all the teams involved.
Oh, there's some bad teams. There's some good teams like dipping out, isn't there? Red Bull Leipzig, Girona, 3 points each. That's bad, isn't it? For teams like that, they should be beating like the Celtics and no, I'm joking. They should be beating them. I don't even know who they played, to be fair, to say they should be beating them, but they might have just got tough game after tough game after tough game.
Leipzig had one of the worst fixture lists by a mile. They played us, we beat them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, 3-1 at Paradise. It was a good game for us. But us and somebody else, the team they beat and us was like their easiest games, and everyone else was like, yeah, Real Madrid, City, PSG, that kind of shit, you know.
Yeah.
They get absolutely hammered on the fixture list.
And the home and away thing as well, that you could get like really good teams away from home and then kind of soft home games, and it's just like you can pick up points and
yeah.
Do you think like
though, isn't it?
Yeah, I had it up earlier on. I was looking at like all the matches are kind of on the same day again for like Europa League and for a bit of Champions League and that kind of thing. I think Champions League's over 2 days in this round actually, as I say that out loud. But Europa League is always Thursday, isn't it? The multiplex or the late deadline kind of crap not crap, that's disparaging. I quite enjoyed it for overall, I would say. I think we get it for finals and semi-finals maybe, but do you think we'll get it for these kind of intermittent rounds of the tournaments?
I think that depends on how successful Sorare think this week's one was. Because if we do get it, like, let's say this round of 16, you've got half the games on Tuesday, half the games on Wednesday, they could still put up a $20,000 prize pot and just split it 10,000 over the 2 days and let people know in advance to get your teams in order for which day's playing when and do it again if this was a success for them. If it wasn't what they thought it was going to be, I don't think we'll see it again.
Fair.
Maybe on the final day of the Premier League.
Yeah, that's all 3 o'clock or 2 o'clock.
Yeah, all threes, yeah. Or maybe 4's actually, on the final day, yeah.
I said 2, but something's telling me it's not 3. It's a weird time on the final day, like 4 or something like that, or 2 or something, yeah. Yeah. But yeah.
We try to sell the last of the supply type thing, like, like it's kind of good if teams rotate because then there's like instant buy, and like you were saying earlier, like buy those guys that come in for other players and stuff. Like that probably stimulates like a lot more money than somebody going to. Well, obviously somebody going to the market, but the deadline thing's quite interesting.
Yeah, they'd have to have a bit of a overhaul of how the instant buys work by then, though, wouldn't they? Because you'd have like a £1 guy going from like 1 to 9 to 90 to like 300 quid after 4 instant buys, and it's just like nobody's buying him now. Like fix this real quick.
Somebody was sitting pressing 8. This guy's worth it. Just keep selling them. Yeah, but I think they will refine that, like because obviously they're players they want to sell. It's like not really a big kind of.
What's interesting about that, and maybe something I should talk to Sorare about anyway, is like sometimes I have gone out of my way to not buy a guy that I really wanted on instant buy because their premium was just like stupid because somebody had just bought them, and then the moment passes by the time I want them again, I'm like, I don't even want them anymore. And it's like if you moved a guy from 30 quid to like 58 quid, and it's like I'm just not paying that. But if you moved him to like 32 or 34 quid, I'd be like, yeah, do you know what? Like I'm interested in that. I'll still pick him up. I wonder how many other people have like just been like, no, I'm not going to spend any money at all because it's just too much. Like how much they would have missed out on from that.
Yeah.
a fair whack. I found myself thinking that market credits make it easy to get around that sometimes if you really want them, you know. If you don't have market credits, then you're very much faced with the cold hard fact of that guy's 150 quid now. Like, should be 70.
Yeah, I just did that with a team of Werner. I paid 35 quid for a guy that should be 15. Yeah.
You not notice like the Argentinian stuff, and like they've kind of, there's been points where there's just been no cards in the market. So it's like, you know, it's like we're minting the first one, the second one, and it's only instant buys. And there's actually some people coming out and like Twitter or X or whatever it's called now, and like, oh, we really need some auctions. Like, that's actually genius. Like we went for like years of people, oh, we're minting too many cards and the oversupply. Now we got actually people asking for auctions. Like, so maybe that's kind of wee bit of the rope-a-dope, as we call it here. It's like, there's no auctions, is there? Put the auctions, and then everybody goes off. It's like, like so. But I think that's worked quite well. Well, maybe more for Sorare, but obviously Argentinian special and everything's coming up as well, so people will be going nuts for that stuff. So
this was a big highlight on Wednesday night for us. Netto Limited sold for 30 quid, more than the rare. There was like a rare on for like 23 quid or something, and someone bought a limited at 30.
Mate, I should have sold my Netto, shouldn't I? Instead of trying to play him, I would have done a better job just selling him and pocketing the cash. I mean, that's almost always the best solution, isn't it? When your players peak, don't play them, sell them.
Yeah. Guys, selling to the demand day.
Yeah, I'm terrible with that. Because I'm like, if there's demand, he's obviously doing well, so why wouldn't I want to play him? And then it's buy on the dip, but then it's like, well, he's shit. Why would I want to buy him? So I just do it. Yeah, I just do it all the wrong way around anyway. It's so rare. You can see anytime I buy someone good, that's it, their career's over.
You monitor it.
Yeah,
the Sorare curse. I love it.
Went and bought Rodri. Does his ACL like 3 days later. That's fun. Although there was he's still registered for City's Champions League, and there was like news today. Pep was asked about the players that are out, and he's said like this guy's still out, this guy's still out, Rodri's still out, like still not fit. And it's like it was interesting that he used his name as still out because like that kind of like implies that maybe he's on his way back, but he's just not quite ready. So he might be back even a bit quicker than we thought. Like, you know, if he ends up picking up like a good 10, 12 games at the end of the season, I might still get my money's worth out of him yet.
Yeah, like why mention the guy that's not going to play?
Yeah.
Totally with you on that. I love that wee kind of Freudian slip you've maybe picked up on there.
Yeah.
I can't help buy guys on dips. I love it too much. I like thinking, I'm so glad I've got this guy when he's cheap. Like I can't. That's the number one thing I love about buying players is when everyone else does think, oh, he's a 10 or he's pish or whatever.
Yeah.
I can't. That's like we were talking earlier on about getting into the zone with these games and all the rest of it. That's like when I find a guy and I'm like, oh, I can't believe he's only that's Zalazar. That news was didn't come to me that quickly. It was going to Zenit. I was like, on the way to Zenit, his classics, he doesn't have in seasons, but it's like 30 quid still. Give me a bit of that. No bother. Take that Braga price, no problem.
Do you not like trade like goalkeepers? It's probably a lot of work, but like every single game week, I'm like, damn, this goalkeeper's out, that goalkeeper's out, this goalkeeper's back in. And it's like, if you just like, even if you just took one league, like the Premier League, and just went and bought like one of every single limited backup goalkeeper, I reckon over the course of the season, you'd be able to sell them all for a profit at one stage or another. Like,
well, McBride, that's how McBride made his millions. McBride is the goalie guru.
Oh, is that right? Yeah.
Not quite just that, but I mean, the backups are always quite sort of underpriced,
Yeah.
A wee bit different now because I think Sorare, like the backup guys, they don't mint as many mints, so you've got to get the right price. But if you stockpile certain guys and they get in, then they just go.
Yeah.
Especially the guys like playing good stacks, you know. If you get the PSV backup or the Celtic backup, or then you're proper laughing, you know.
Yeah, I got Lunin. I actually got him out of a craft, and then I bought his limited. So I got his rare and limited, and then when Courtois got that like little injury after he came back from his big injury, straight away I was like, nice. Like I should have sold him, but I was like, nice. I've got someone to play now rather than not having it. And when I look at his graph and it like fucking peaked and then dipped, so I went back to that game week. I'm like, did I win anything? No, I fucking didn't. I should have sold him and then just bought him back again the week after.
Yeah. It's hard to do.
Yeah. Yeah. What you need to do is you need to have a backup goalkeeper, but also a backup plan. So it's like, if Courtois gets injured, I'm going to sell Lunin and play this stinker instead, just to know that I've got a starter that's like, well, you know, cheapest guy in the league, and then sell Lunin, buy him back the next week, keep the stinker stowed away for another rainy day. Courtois goes back in. You've done well. Yeah. I'm going to write that down. I reckon I've figured out the new meta.
I like that move and I can't think of an example, but I've did that sort of move before where maybe not explicitly with a goalkeeper, but the view is like, I don't know, say I don't want to pay £200 for Wanizek, but it's like, if I can get this backup guy to come in and he does this and that transfer works out, he'll probably be the same price as him. And then at that point, I'll just slide across, you know, I don't want this random guy. I want the guy I actually wanted. So you could do it like, even with backup keepers, like maybe not quite, you probably couldn't go from Lunin to Courtois, but you could maybe go from like Lunin to like Oblak, you know?
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah,
and
then Oblak and a little bit of cash to Courtois. And it's like, lessen the bow. Yeah, that's good trading, that is.
Rodri has been seen around the first team. Oh, Nanzo in with the intel. Love that, mate. That's just when you think Nanzo's not in the chat. He's in the chat. He's always in the chat.
But Pep made a point to clarify that he's not recovered and won't be rushed back. Don't see him playing this season. Don't be a party pooper, Nanzo. Rodri's going to win them the league.
That's just manager chat.
Nanzo's probably got a super rare up on sale there, and he's like, oh, he's seen around the first team. Build a bit of hype there. I like it. Good hustle.
Yeah. Because Pep doesn't want asked every week, when's Rodri back, you know? So
yeah,
maybe Freudian slip and then he's covering his tracks. Like,
yeah. Why? Look, but ACL, like, why would he be around the first team? Get him out of there if he's not going to be playing. Do you know what I mean? They don't need that. They don't need that energy. Like
bringing that bad voodoo around.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, go away, mate. Is that contagious? That ACL? Get the fuck out of here, mate.
Dubravka shooting from £1 to 11 when Pope got injured. Just wanted to
imagine you had like 50 Dubravkas. You'd just be laughing. Even like 5, you'd be like, nice. Now I've got 50 quid. Let's go and put on MFL and buy some players.
Yeah. Go and get that new striker I need. I seen you got a good goalkeeper as well. Goalkeepers are important, I think, you know, because there's only one stat that matters. That's just overall.
Yeah, so I saw in the chat there, like the Discord, the Ramble Discord, they're like 10 a penny. And I guess because it's unlike Sorare, where you have to have a goal. Like, it's hard to explain, but like on a game like MFL, there's unlimited supply of goalkeepers. It's not like there's one team with one starting goalkeeper and then the backups don't play. It's like you're the one that's playing them. So you can just buy the backup effectively and play him all the time now as a starter. So it did make sense why goalkeepers are a bit cheaper. Yeah.
His legs are in better shape than Gundo's. That's probably a fair comment on Rodri as well. But yeah, I wanted to put on the Mines thing. Somebody was asking about this. I don't know if anyone's got the story for it, but we got 2 players for Werder Bremen. Talk about this for Friday Night Curse. Both of them double second yellow in the same, looks like the same minute of the matches, but the chat said to me, Nicholas Stark and Friedel, which I think is Harry Trades' boy. So they both get sent off in the 94th to 94th minute as Bremen secured a 1-0 victory. After Amiri gets subbed off at half-time, wrecked one of my teams for me. But I wonder what happened with these guys if they had it says here straight red on the icon, maybe? Is there yellow? No yellow. Yeah, so it's just a straight red. Wonder if they got into a fight with each other or something.
Maybe, yeah. A bit of Lee Bowyer and Danny Dyer going on.
A wee bit of that.
Yeah. Mate, isn't it mad how similar those goalkeeper names are?
For sure. I didn't even notice that, by the way. Friedel's still got a 60.
Oh, gee. That's one of the benefits, isn't it, of like somebody who's heavy in AA, not in DAs. So if you've got a DA guy that like drops a neg DA, you're fucked, especially if he's a goalkeeper. But yeah, he's only lost 20 points. You're absolutely you're walking away from that thinking, do you know what? That's all right. Like I would have been happy if he had a 64 at the start of the game. I'll take it.
Yeah, I can't believe that. That's 11 duels won. Nice. 11 effective clearances. Jesus. battening down the hatches with that guy.
What is an effective clearance? What makes it effective or non-effective?
I think it's retaining possession. So I think like you need so if you imagine your big centre back or whatever clears it, all you need is that touch from your player, the header flick on or the crappy bounce off the shoulder. And then I think it's an effective clearance. But I think if it goes straight into like the opposition's feet, it's just possession lost or something like that.
I know there has to be a line in the sand, but it's far more valuable clearing, like punting the ball 60 yards, letting the opposition get it, putting pressure on them, stealing the ball off them, and then you're in like an attacking situation, than clearing it up the field. Your striker knocks it on, but loses it himself, and then you can see the goal off of it. It's like, okay, well done, you got an effective clearance, but it wasn't. It was shite. Like,
I always worry about the throw-ins. That's the only one I'm not too sure about. Like when you scuff it out for corners and that, I get right, but the throw-ins, I'm like, that's an effective clearance, man. You know, like you're kind of saying there, you're affecting the game in some way. You know, like you're talking about getting back up the pitch, but even with that, you're giving your team a chance to run back and get in the position. Yeah, you know. So
it's weird. Yeah, like I say, I know there has to be a line in the sand, but like quite with a lot of the stuff that Sorare do, I think I don't mind the scoring matrix, but a lot of it is like unintuitive. Like a lot of it just literally doesn't make sense. Like, you know, the one that I will literally like moan about this until I stop playing this game because I die or something. But you got last man tackle, you got goal line clearance, you need like last man block, or do you know what I mean, like last man shoulder barge or fucking something, because the amount of times like Gabriel was blocked a shot that was 100% going in, but he wasn't close enough to the line for it to be a goal line clearance, and he didn't actually make a tackle, so he gets 2 fucking points. It's like, no, he saved a goal. Like, give him his credit, you know, give him his credit. And like, how many times is like, even for Celtic, like you've been like a 1-on-1 with a defensive race, and they just like, you know, lean into them, take them off the possession. It's like, if he didn't do that, the guy scores a goal. Like, there has to be some sort of award for like non-contact like play, like even though they didn't touch the ball or maybe even a man, but they've still done something that has saved a goal. Yeah,
I think the problem with that is, what statistic does Opta catch that under, you know?
Yeah, like the common sense statistic. Just put that one in there. Common sense, DA, tick. That's fine.
Yeah.
Give him 25 points because he was brilliant today.
Yeah, I get that. So there's a few ones, especially with the goal line clearance thing that you're talking about. Like, there's a few of them where it's not really a goal line clearance, but it is. Like you say, like he is effectively a goalkeeper for 2 seconds. But fair enough. He's not standing on the line, and it's like an empty net, and like no one else is anywhere near them. There might be a crowd or whatever going around.
Yeah,
and it does feel a wee bit like you get the group chat going, was that a goal line clearance? Will they get it? Will they get that? Da, 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 you know, and was that a last man tackle? That was a last man interception. No.
Yeah, I think David Raya last week or the week before, something happened with one of the shots, and it like deflected, and he had to literally like scramble back to the goal, got his hand to it, clawed it off the line. I'm like, nice goal line clearance for the goalkeeper. It's like, nope, because he used his hand, it's a save. It's not a fucking save, is it? Like, he didn't save it. He literally like clawed it off the line. Like that's a goal line clearance in my book. But is it? Yes, James. Oh, fucking isn't that a save? Oh, honestly, learn the sport.
The penalty one's always a good favourite, isn't it? Keeping it, even if the guy misses, and obviously if the keeper saves it or does he score it, don't penalise the guy that gave it away. It's always just the most. You said it's not intuitive. That's just the thing that I think always jumps out.
Yeah. Yes, because it's like when I argued with Zoro about this, and it was like, yeah, but if the goalkeeper saves it, the guy still committed the foul, so it still happened. I'm like, yeah, but if the striker misses it, the guy who got fouled still got fouled. Like he still won the pen. Like, so he should have that as a decisive. But then he tried to say like, you don't get an assist for a guy that missed an open goal because you didn't score the goal. And I'm like, well, if you're making it as an assist, then like if that's like, you know, because I think on FPL, a penalty one gets accredited as assist, doesn't it? So I wonder if Opta see it as an assist rather than a penalty one. Whereas when you concede the penalty, it's like that is the default thing. You've conceded a penalty.
I think with the conceded penalty thing, it's definitely a statistical thing anyway. You know, it's not a game Opta. It's not a Sorare thing or anything. That's because he has still made a clinical error that if you're scouting that guy, you're going to want to see that footage. You know, like penalties conceded. What does this guy do when he gives away a penalty? Oh, it clotheslines people. Right? Okay, we're not going to buy him. You know, or whatever. But I never thought about that whole assist element of it all, because then if he doesn't score, then of course the potential assist won't be recorded.
Yeah.
You know, as a statistic then, which is a shame because if you've got somebody that is like proficient at winning pens, they're just a dribble master, you know.
Yeah.
I guess a statistic
And
that
then
would be
some big
valuable.
donkey up front that keeps missing them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's just a big chance created. The one I hate is like why is the third goal decisive? Like,
Yeah.
it's fucking like it's already like 2-0. Oh, the third goal that hammers the score, and like it really kind of hammers like lower down teams as well, you know, teams that are a bit dodgy or whatever. And so I get the kind of counter thing is like you get some AA, but you just got to balance that. But I don't get it. I don't get why a certain amount of goals is decisive for a goalkeeper.
Yeah, I agree. I think MPen did a really good piece on how to change it so that it's more of a curve down as they concede more. Because like in the current setup, if they concede 8 goals, it's not really that many different to conceding 3 goals, but it's significantly more different to conceding 2 or 1. Whereas in the way he had done it, it's like if a team loses like 2 or 3 goals, your keeper could still come away with a respectable score. But if they concede 7 or 8, they're just going to get hammered into the ground, as they well should, because they've conceded loads. So yeah, one of those little ones that I think could do well. But I think when it comes to goalkeepers, I wonder if Sorare almost don't want that, because it would start making keepers on the worst teams probably the top keepers, and they want to sell their Courtois and Oblaks and Alissons and Ryers, not their, you know, the fucking like Lenos and Matt Sells from Forest and stuff. They don't really want them to be the top scoring keepers, because they just won't get the premium for them.
Yeah, I think that's where you adjust it against the saves and the. I think that's probably why they changed it, to be honest. But
yeah.
Even like Oblak doesn't face any real shots, and then hits like a 61 or whatever, and you
even with the saves, just like, again, I know there has to be a line in the sand, but not all saves are the same. Some saves are like worthy of a decisive action, and some saves aren't. And it's like the amount of times like my keepers sometimes have got like 4 points from save inside the box. I'm like, let's fucking go. And it's from like a header from the edge of the box that goes like 2 wide, just like cheers, and it's like that's 4 points. And then you see a keeper making like a diving save from, you know, a 5-yard out shot, and it's like, oh nice, you get 7 points. It's like, no, like come on. Like one of these was significantly more challenging to do, like, but you know, unless you get like some guy up to like marking every game being like, oh yeah, diving save that was very good, an extra 5 points, diving save that was average, just 1 extra point.
It's based on like XG and like
that
expected clean sheets or something. Like,
yeah, that's very smart. XG saves.
I heard somebody say the same kind of thing as both you said together, but it was like to do it on like, because obviously they capture big chance missed, you know, or big chance, you know, big chances in general, you know, they catch that in real time. So like if the keeper has saved the shot, they should be able to say big chance saved.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah,
and give you 10 points for that or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
At least maybe a decisive, or you know, whatever.
The argument for that was when I spoke to this about with Zorro, he's like, a big chance missed or created or whatever, a big chance missed anyway, is like, it's only pertinent to the player that missed the chance. And a big chance missed doesn't necessarily mean a big chance saved. It could literally have been missed, and they don't track the goalkeeper's side of that. They only track the attacker side of it. But you know, like with AI in 2025, like, can they not like
work it out?
Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, opt to like step up your game a bit. You know, like
they do have goals. They have goals prevented.
They do. Yes, that's a stat.
Yeah,
goals. So I think they probably could. Yeah, it's not far off though. I mean, I think it's the best matrix I've seen by a country mile in any fantasy football game. So it's maybe a couple of wee tweaks, but it's not too far away.
I saw you talking, Quinny, recently. I don't know how recently, but I remember you talking about strikers not getting like defensive actions, but defenders getting offensive actions. And that just does my head in, because like Gabriel Martinelli tracks back all the time for Arsenal, and he gets so many tackles and duels won and stuff, and he just doesn't get rewarded for it whatsoever unless he hits the double or whatever. And I'm like, yes, you've got some teams where strikers are just, they're part of that defensive unit and they're working hard for their team. and then just not getting rewarded for it, like in a fantasy sense. bit frustrating. But a defender
Even
like
those,
luck boxes a header into the back of the net, and all of a sudden, oh, look at him, he's got decisive action. It's like,
I was going to say as well, even for the cheat codes, because you get those cheat codes that are defender cards, but they play up front and they can be quite OP. But you get those forwards that are fullbacks and it kills them. You know, like they're OP. You know, they are dead. So you could have it working both ways, where that cheat code potential could happen because they allow it in other positions, I suppose. So yeah, it's definitely a wee bit of a bugbear for me. Normally in this chat, the next thing that normally gets brought up is normally like double doubles and triple triples for goalkeepers when you're on this kind of part of it. And whatnot as well, which I think would be another thing just to throw back out.
I will tell you something that triggers me no end. You've got double doubles and triple triples and triple doubles, but not double triples. Why?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, do you,
nobody knows.
Yeah.
Should be in. There's like 10 points maybe.
Yeah,
so is it we've got the now 4, 6, 8 or no?
Yeah, was it 4, 8 and 12, isn't it? So yeah, like 10 points.
Because I had it once, I realised that a wee while ago. I've not really given it much thought since, but I remember I had that once where it was like the double triple I had, but it was like, oh, I've only got a double, or you know, whatever it was, it kind of screwed me out. I was like, oh, there should be another layer to this cake, you know?
There should,
get 3 2s or 2 3s or whatever it was. 3 2s, it'd have been 3 2s.
Yeah. Yeah, it's also weird, you know, the K-League scoring was always strange because they didn't give a dual 1 for a tackle, but Opta always gives a dual 1 for a tackle, 1. And so sometimes you'd have the K-League where I'd have like a defender on like 4 tackles and like 1 duel. And I'm like, he should now be like on a serious score with a double and like really kicking on, but yeah.
Just handicapped. And then James again adding a great one into the chat. Double DAs for winning the pen and scoring it. That comes into the assist thing. If it is logged as an assist, you can't assist yourself technically.
Yeah,
so, that's difficult.
Yeah.
I was just looking at your gallery in the pen fez a minute ago to see how many Werners you did get.
Yeah, I got 4. Yeah,
you got your 4. You got one. You got one for under £15 as well.
I did. Yeah, the limited. Oh yeah, I got the classic one. Yeah, he's an interesting classic as well, actually, because he's a German one.
Yeah, nice pick up. There's not many of them either.
No, there's not, and getting them into a collection is really difficult because obviously I don't know if there is a Germany collection for the collection score.
Oh, there must be. Check your gallery.
Hold on. Oh yeah, should I? That'd make a lot of sense. I'm sitting here thinking, I wonder how I'm going to find that out, but
there must be, surely. If you share screen, if you find it, I'll put it on. But
do you know,
the Germany collection is
actually after a certain amount of time, it should make sense to try and pick up some of those classic pieces.
Do you know what? Yeah, here we go.
It's like now, like at the moment you buy them, you're just like, well, you're not the first owner. Oh, there is.
Yeah. Oh, there's a Kai Havertz in there. Got to pick him up, haven't we?
Imagine it was a forward and you never knew it this whole time.
Oh damn! Do you know what? Because he was the last card there, I thought maybe he actually is like. Hey, that's some collection. That is. There's got some banger cards in there.
Yeah, that's a nice one.
I need to see what this coin would be. About 10 quid. Oh, none. Brilliant.
How many did they actually get?
None.
They didn't get any. Have you not got the for sale tab on? Oh wow.
Yeah, none of them exist.
Ooh. I find that very surprising.
Yeah, a bit strange, isn't it? Yeah, what's the point of having him in the collection if he's not actually there?
I could have sworn he did get cards. That's weird.
Muller's there though, so yeah, it must be a Kai thing.
Maybe they're all on OpenSea, Nep. Maybe that's what's happened to the Havertzes. They've all ended up to OpenSea.
Maybe.
And Timo Werner makes the best cup of tea in the Premier League. He's getting slated earlier today or yesterday, I think it was.
You seen how much money he's on? Mate,
Werner?
Yeah, I think it's like 350 grand a week.
What?
Yeah.
Sweet. Well done to him.
Yeah.
No wonder he's shite now.
What do you mean now?
See, especially if you're getting abused, you would just be phoning it in. Like, fuck you guys, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right, guys, I'm going to bed.
Right, take care, mate.
Later
I think
on
I'm
tonight.
wrap us
Oh,
up
That's
anyway.
my bedtime. Away from my rolling locks, I'm going to put my wig on. So,
Have a good one, mate.
right. Cheers,
See you
boys.
later, McBride.
See you
It's
later.
gonna be me wrapping up as well. My dinner's going to be just a few minutes away.
I'm just going to hit the outro tune then. Thanks to everyone that joined us tonight. Take care. Go fuck. The Penfest pleasure, mate.
Yeah, always.